Time beckons a destination, ancient, hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town.
This Kickstarter for Harbor Town, this stuff comes out in August finally, and I'm supposed to be DMing a game there at Gen Con
Harbor Town is an
on
all-new
Friday
series
with
from
the
Miniature Building
entire
Authority,
setup at
the
their
leader
booth.
in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to a new destination.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, I won't be using that intro. I was looking at it for some stuff. So we will find another one.
Kirk at MBA's great, a great guy. So if you want me to introduce him to you at some point, I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, I'm pulling some themes and stuff down from theme for. There's a where the site where those come from and all that. I've got an account there. I've just been looking at some because I've got to get an intro to the channel. So the big question is what that intro will be. I don't know yet.
Gives a lot of stars, I think.
I got 2 sponsors right now. I'm working on a third. We'll see if that one comes to fruition. I'm not 100%. I'm not 100%. We'll see on that on them. So this is what we're doing right now. So.
Zoom likes you to be focused on its window. Like, what the hell? I'm sitting here talking. I was talking about all these beautiful stars that Jim put on his intro. It'd be nice. A star, some stars, like a circle.
Rainbow. I want rainbow. Sparkly rainbow.
I feel like some stuff you got on there, man. It's so old school. I'm just getting so old school feeling now so much lately that it's like I want to go back
You know how hard it is to find music that's not proprietary? Whew.
He's
Damn thing won't let me. If I go to another window, spamming Lorgasumba's emotes, I have to remember to go back and click on it.
I got a new one. You got the laughing out loud night emote. It's a little cheesy, but I just use that as a filler because I got the 5th one. So yeah, it's 5th. I got that's as many as us affiliates can get, right? Yep, there it is. Now, my buddy Brian's making a DM's Crushing Fist for me, so I'll probably replace one of the 5 with that when he's... So... I got an intro screen for everyone involved, except for I don't have a logo for Mike, unfortunately, so...
Playing the old Go Box game, The Beholder?
Yes, I was.
Wow.
I loaded it up. I love that game and got it back down from GOG and fired off last Saturday, the first session. So I was going to play it last night, but lovely migraine took me out. So get back to it on Saturdays.
Watched you play it last week, I think. Yeah.
love that game. So loved it.
Yeah, about a couple months ago, I went through Pools of Radiance and started doing the Dragonlance ones. Their UI is a lot better than the first one.
It takes getting used to, that's for certain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go through those, and then I'm gonna whip out, and I know like they're doing it on the D&D channel now, but I'm gonna get out the old Baldur's Gates and fire them up. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing better than BG2, man. Wow. Just the NPC interaction on that is unbelievable.
Icewind Dale.
Oh, Icewind Dale 2, and Icewind Dale 2 is good too, but they lost the coding for it, so they can never re-release it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say. I think Icewind Dale 2 was when they started doing 3E, but I like the 1E or the 8E version.
That's the one where you had some. You make some pretty powerful dual class characters, if I recall in that.
2 was 3E, 1 was
2E.
but you didn't have the character interaction there. It was all based on combat.
You played all 6 characters. Yeah.
I miss those games. Miss them a lot. They were fun.
The way I always plays Baldur's Gate is I made up all of the characters anyways. I never went through the story. I just made them up because I wanted specific classes. I never did the story.
Can you, if you guys know, I know in the original games you could mod them. I wonder if you could do that with the beanbag stuff.
Yes, you can.
I've got an actual, I just never remember this because of what Mike said, but I've actually got somewhere in downstairs in the basement. Back when it first came out, somebody came out with an unofficial expansion. I've got that on CD somewhere. So tempted to hunt that up, see if I can put that on there. Because it was pretty good if I remember correctly.
Get my hex editor so I can go in and change hit points and all that.
They have a
You did all
tool.
kinds of
They have a tool called Gold Box Companion for the Gold Box games. Man, if you ain't playing with that, you absolutely need it.
See, this is why we chat beforehand when the preludes. Even Will's joining in on our conversation here, so that's why we're like doing it before and after. All right, so we got some entries here, and I'm gonna quiet things down here and go to the main screen here and welcome everyone. Hey, thanks, man. Getting a lot of crowd coming on. Really appreciate it. I'm Jake here, Lurk Zumba, and Brian. Holy schmoles! I didn't know. See, I let him be for the last 2 days, and he decided to come on.
My cousins just left like 20 minutes ago. I just got done vacuuming up the dog hair because they brought their dog.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful. So we got a nice crowd tonight, and I want to introduce everyone. Let's start with. This is going to be a fantastic discussion. I'm so excited about it. Jimmy Duff. Jimmy Duffy.
Jimmy Duffy, Duff563 on the social media platforms, owner and operator of Prater's Rejects on the Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all of the above. Yep.
What games do you play right now? You play more than just D&D. So
yeah, with the changes and the new stuff with Wizco Games and the Wizards, the couch stuff programming. Right now, I've just got the Monday night Deadlands Savage Worlds campaign. That Double Dog is part of, who's hopped into the channel to harass and troll everybody. So
Beautiful.
Pay attention to him.
Welcome.
And then Tuesday nights, the D&D 5e campaign, which was Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which is now transforming into Mad Mage. We'll start off this next week, and that's it right at the moment. Just finished up the Friday night campaign, which was Lost Mines of Fandelver. I always like to try to have a beginners group going on the channel, so we've got to retool, and we'll get that rerunning again sometime, or that new one when they come out with the new starter set. I'm looking forward to that. And the
Welcome. I really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so very much. Chuck, welcome, man. Tell a little bit about your channel and what you got going on.
Thank you. Chuck Babunsky Combo. Let's see, what have I got going on? Let's see. Well, I run a lot of 5e, of course. I've got, I don't know, about 8 or 9 games I run about every week, sometimes bi-weekly. I've got one bi-weekly game. I've got a newbie game on Friday nights. It's made up of nothing but streamers that don't play RPGs, so that's been quite fun. Teach them how to, they can stream all to hell, but they don't know anything about So that's been fun. It's been real fun with them. It's been quite shocking. We had a guy last week lose a leg and somebody died, but that happens. But I'm the community director for Troller Games. I do a lot of Castle Crusades in real life, and I run a couple games online. I actually run for a group over in Rome, Italy, believe it or not. We usually every Tuesday we run during it's our daytime, but over there it's like night.
Right.
Do a little bit of that. I run one Starfinder game, which is kind of interesting. I'm not a big fan of Pathfinder or 3.5 because I'm just lazy and old and I don't want to do all the rules. But I was desperate for, a pseudo Dungeons and Dragons sci-fi game, and there's no Gamma World around anywhere. So,
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah. So I do a lot of that. I do a lot of festivals and stuff. I did one Friday night, actually. I do a lot of teaching through youth groups and that kind of thing, and Boy Scouts and that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty active. I'm retired and disabled, so I spend my time just basically living the dream. Not making any money, but living the dream. That's about it. You can catch me online. I stream, 4 or 5 nights a week or so. So
we're gonna save the best tonight for last. So Brian, you're next. I'm just kidding, Brian. So I'm so happy you came on, man. I didn't think you were gonna make it, but go ahead, Brian. Everyone knows you, but yeah, let's shout out again who you are and how you are related to me and everything.
I apologize if you can hear my wife back
That's okay.
there.
She can talk all she wants.
So I'm Brian, Sublime BW on the chat here and pretty much any gaming or social platform. So yeah, run a in-person game Wednesday nights, which we are starting our Greyhawk campaign, or just started it, hanging out in Burl, playing. We went through, right now we're in middle of the Feast of Double Daring, which is a big week-long prank fest for the followers of Alamadara. So going through that, and then we're getting into some human trafficking type situation.
Nice.
That's what people kind of like. They ask them, like, "Hey, what do you guys want to do?" Like, can we bust up a human trafficking ring? Sure, let's do it.
Excellent. And what are you doing next Saturday night?
I'm gonna be wearing some very sexy lingerie.
You're going to be DMing again for me on Fantasy Grounds in 5e.
Because Jay loved 5e that much.
Yeah, so Brian and I go back to 2004 when we played World of Warcraft together. And Brian is my main moderator on Thursday nights as well. So he does a very good job at that. And last but not least, everyone, please, Mike Wilson, aka Celestian_GC. You know him as a sub on my channel, and when we first talked. Go ahead, Mike. It's a great story. What do you got cooking, man?
You just way overplayed me, man.
No, absolutely not.
No. I don't have any streams or anything like that, but I spend all my time. But my free time, hobby time is working with Fantasy Grounds, writing rule set for AD&D, and then putting on a lot of content together. And now that it's licensed, everybody else can enjoy it instead of just me and my group. So,
an amazing thing. That's going to be our main focus tonight. We're going to talk mainly, but we're going to bounce all over the place because I know we probably have a lot of Fantasy Grounds people who are complete novices like I am. I know, I'm probably be dangerous with it, but Brian, I'm glad Brian's basically my channel, the DM who uses Fantasy Grounds. So I got 3 DMs who stream here and a coder. So I mean, we can't really ask for much more. Sorry, I forgot to do this, but I got to get up to our. By the way, thank you. We smashed 1,000 followers Thursday night. That was crazy. We were like 1,084, and then boom, man, we just kept on coming. So it was a great night. Thank you all. Rox won the giveaway, so we got a lot of stuff coming up. I got to get to 1,043, which is right where we are right now. So we've been going very well on that. So, Mike, what do you think? Can you tell us the backstory on how you got to this point? This is a great story. You told me once, but I think everyone should hear this. I got one more here coming. So, thanks for the host, Duff. Really appreciate it. I know, and I know we got some auto hosting going on too with Babunski. I really appreciate it too. Thank you. So, go ahead, Mike. Tell us how this came to be, man. Because when you sent me a message through here, I was shocked that oh my gosh, wow, it's going to come out. So tell the story.
Well, about 2.5 years ago, maybe 2 years, I can't remember exactly. I had been using map tools forever, and I had written a rule set for it, a framework for AD&D in it, And finally, I just had so many. There's a lot of things you got to go through to get map tools to do what you want, and I just kind of got fed up with it. So I started looking around. I kind of went to Roll20 and started playing with their stuff, and didn't like the way that they did things, to store data and that kind of stuff. So I ran across this cool thing on Kickstarter called Tabletop Connect, and then it was already done and gone, and I got to the very bottom of it, and it turns out somebody had bought them out, and I was like, oh really, who is this? And so I went and looked, and it was Fantasy Grounds. And so I started playing with that. I subscribed for like a month to see if I wanted to use it, and within about a week I decided it was the platform I wanted because of the automation, and they used an actual a decent programming language that I didn't have any experience with, but my job, I do that kind of stuff, so it's just learning a new language. And so I started programming in that, and putting together a rule set that was full featured like the 5e one was. And at one point, about 6 months down the road, I'd been putting out a lot of extensions, and a lot of people had been messing with the rule set. Doug emailed me and said, hey, you're doing we're getting a lot of good feedback from your work and from the community, and wanting to know if you want to come work with us. And at the time, I would have loved to, but they can't pay me what I make at my day job. So I said no, but I'd be happy to do anything related to AD&D if we could. And so he said, you know what, we'll put together a proposal and we'll put it to WotC. And so we went back and forth over several months, and he started talking to them, and then after that point, it was like every 2 weeks I was asking him, getting progress reports, and eventually about I don't know, January of this year, he told me, yes, it's going to happen, we can do this. And so
cool.
I was getting really down in the dumps because it had been so long. I'm serious, it was probably a year and a half that we've been talking about this with them. So not directly with them, but me talking to Doug and Doug talking to them, it got a little dark there, but new year and everything happened, so I was very excited.
I was ecstatically excited when you contacted me, and I didn't, and I really appreciated you coming out and saying all the information about the 2E, and it just was shocking, because all we heard was Wizards of the Coast, it's 5E only. They're never even going to put out any old school content anywhere. That's all I kept on hearing for the last, since we got involved in streaming the last year. And,
that's all I heard ever too. It was, and even on the forums, people are like, why are you putting so much effort in this? You're doing such good work. You're not going to do anything else. It's like, you know what? I'm doing it for me. I want it, and if they do it, that's great. If not, it'll be a rule set that people can use and put in their own data. But so my thumbs are up the nose of the other guys that kept saying that, and I was like, I'm happy.
Keep the faith.
Yeah, real quick shout out to the audience. Scotty2K, they call me Tim is on lurking somewhere, and he's an ex-Army. He's one of my best friends. He's an Army guy, retired lieutenant colonel. So stay in touch here. We'll try and link you guys up, the military guys. I think he's got a game too where he does something with them. So just wanted to put that out there. So Duff and Chuck and Brian, when did you start using Fantasy Grounds? And give me a quick learning curve on it. So Duff, why don't you start up that discussion?
Fall of 2016. Okay. When Rotted went Ultimate, was going to run the service, because I had a in-house game, in real life game that I was running, and one of the guys was going to be traveling. So we said, well, I'm going to throw me a TV up on the table, and he can then dial in, and we can run with miniatures on the TV, and then he can have the token. We can kind of do a hybrid type game. And when that wasn't quite working out, I said, well, I'm just going to see if I can host a game, figure out what this Ultimate can do for me. And foolishly posted on Reddit that I was going to DM a game, and that week I had 4 games. So I just did, and I didn't want to say no, and learned a lesson there. But anyway, so that's how I got started with it. Yeah.
How about you, Chuck? How'd you get started?
Well, long story short, like a lot of people that have gamed as long as we have, you go through periods of time where it's hard to find a group together, that kind of thing. And I had originally started fooling around with it in 2000 and I want to say 13, 14, but I didn't understand it. And it was very, they hadn't, it's come a long ways. So I went and just gave up. And then probably about 6 months later, I was frustrated. So I said, I'm going to try this other thing, Roll20. And I tried Roll20 for about 30 minutes. And then I fled back Fantasy Grounds. That's all I'm saying about that. But anyway, and I just stuck with it and I started subscribe, but I couldn't afford the when they came out the Ultimate, like Jimmy was talking about, I couldn't afford it. So gosh, I probably subbed for about 2.5, 3 years. And then I finally saved up my Twitch money, actually is what paid for it. And I bought it out. And I bought it out. Yeah, I bought it. I guess I've had the Ultimate as a flat out thing now for I looked it up for the Kickstarter. I think it was 2016. Yeah. So anyway, and I've just been using it ever since. In fact, I use it for all my in real life games, like at cons and everything. I use it all the time, man. It's such a great tool. I mean, not just for playing virtually, but like I use my combat tracker.
Right. Okay.
Presentation. I mean, you can go on and on with it, man. You don't even have to use it for. I use it for all kinds of things. It's great. You need a dynamic search for spells, like that.
Cool.
Almost a PDF. So.
No, that's great to know. It's never thought of. You have your laptop next to you or something, and you have it up on a Surface or something.
I have it's part of my damn screen.
Nice. Good to hear. All right, Brian. How about you? I know you've used it for a little while.
So during the when we play in person, we have a couple guys that live far away. Jose drives from Toledo, which is like 45 minutes. Aaron was driving from Walled Lake, which is another 45 minutes an hour, and Don was driving from. Anyway, we had 3 people driving close to an hour, and so wintertime came, and we were hitting issues where like roads were getting kind of crappy. Michigan, we have fantastic roads. Aaron, he wound up having a copy of Fantasy Grounds, and he's like, "Hey, have this. I can't use it because he didn't like the way it ran on his Mac." And so I tried it out and did a little bit of learning there, and then from there used it for all of Tomb of Annihilation, off and on. Like we would do essentially like one session a month on Fantasy Grounds, just to kind of give people, you don't have to get the guys that were driving not having to do that. And then I actually just resubbed for you. But I did get on the Unity base because I'm the base level, so I do the subscription for the Ultimate Edition. But then for Unity, I did do the base to Ultimate.
Okay, cool, man. Well, we got a lot of experience here, and I'm a complete novice at it. So what I figured we'd do on starting is go over some of the cool 2E things that Mike coded in. What do you think, guys? I mean, I'm excited to see what he's put together, and then if we have some commentary about what's a little different with 5e, just feel free to jump in. So Mike, have at it for a little bit here. Where do you want to start?
Well, I kind of figured we'd walk through just kind of creating a character just to kind of show you how easy it is. I mean, and again, most of it is going to be like if you've used the 5e rule set, it's the functionality is mostly the same. So if you can click on your character and pull up Gorig, you might want to close all those other windows, maybe keep the spell window up.
Okay.
So the one I want to point out a difference right now. So whenever you're making your own character, there's kind of an order that you want to create them, and it's the same thing that 5e has. You want to roll your stats, set your stats, your ability scores, and on the character sheet, there's a little gear to the right of the abilities name on the character sheet. If you'll click on that gear.
Okay, the gear. Okay, right here, abilities, right?
Yeah, click on that. It brings up your ability score. So you would set it there. I've already set them for this guy, so you don't need to. Cool. But that's just in case anybody else needs it. So you can go ahead and close it. The saves are the same, but generally you don't need to touch them unless you're adding in some bonus that is not managed by the rule set. As you level up, it'll automatically change those for you. So you shouldn't have to touch them unless you're doing something. You got a house rule or custom thing that's not managed. But so the way it is right now, we've got the character. His ability scores are set. and you would pick a class. On the right side, there's the class button. If you click that, it'll bring up a list of
class button
on the right side of Fantasy
I see.
Grounds,
Okay, I got it. Yeah,
the class list.
Class list. So I see me. Oh, all the way over to the right.
If you're not seeing it, click your library and then choose.
There we go. Right there. That's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Anyway.
And I'm assuming we're gonna. I was gonna make him a barbarian, but he's. I'm just kidding. All right.
So, did you load the priest kit book?
I thought I did. Maybe I did.
If you did, there's probably a million, because the priest handbook has like 50 various types of clerics. So at the top there is a group option. Set that at the top to the player's handbook, just so you don't get confused with all the millions of others. So in there's a cleric, and I was going to make this guy a cleric because his ability scores kind of fit that. So if you'll actually, I always do this. We don't want to do the class first. We want to do the race because of ability scores.
Okay.
I misspoke. So do the same thing you did with class. On the right side, there's that list. There's a races button. Bring that up, and then just and you can move that. What you should probably do is move your character sheet to the left, because it's just going to keep putting the windows in the middle.
All right, cool. How's that?
Okay, good. And so I'd already made the dwarf, so that's okay. I tell you, the hardest thing about any kind of rule set in Fantasy Grounds is figuring out Fantasy Grounds. Once you've got Fantasy Grounds underneath your belt, you understand it, you can probably go play any game, because the rest of it's automated. But so just grab there's the little black dot. I think they call it a shield. Just click on it and drag it and drop it on the front of your character sheet.
Okay, like that. Oh, that was easy.
And then, and if you look at the chat box, it'll tell you what all it added, because you added that.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll notice your Constitution went up, your Charisma went down, because it's a dwarf. Some other things. And if you want to go through that, you can. Otherwise, just click on the cleric one and do the same thing. Click and drag it on top of your character sheet.
Oh, cool.
There you go. Now you've added a cleric. And if you look in the chat, you'll see the same thing. It tells you all the things that it's changing. Your save scores and THACOs are changing and all this other stuff. So every time you level now, whenever you add a new, when you level up in cleric, you'll do the exact same thing. You'll grab the cleric class, drag and drop it on top of it. It'll add one to what you have. It'll check its list of advancement records it's got that's set whether you have saves increase or your THACO goes down, or basically if you get any new proficiencies and that sort of thing, and it'll apply all that so that you don't have to sit there and look through the player's handbook and know how to do all that.
Question: does it roll stats for you?
Ability scores? No, it does not.
Okay, so you have to roll that up whatever way. Now, does it roll up stats for 5e? No, gentlemen.
No.
No, okay. All right, so
there is an extension. There is an extension that I think somebody wrote that'll let you do it for one of them. I can't remember if it was 5e, but there was something, and that was because people wanted the roll 4, drop 1, and apply it. But it was and in fact, it may be the new PF rule set that Trinla was working on. I just remember seeing it, but
Unity, they're going to have all that. They've got that built.
Yes.
So Unity will have rolled up character. You could with certain types, because you remember in the Dungeon Master's Guide you have 3 dice 6 times, 4 dice 6. There's all different ways to do a first and second edition character. I don't know if it'll be very basic, but we all have our different ways of doing things. And like for example, in Brian's 5e, Brian, how do you do it? You can explain. And then this is a good way to.
I mean the character creation.
Yeah, how do you create? Yeah, because you have a certain way of doing things.
I kind of work from the top down, so I start with the class, then put in the back. Or no, I always start with the race. I start with the race and then jump to the class, go to the background. I'll update the stats manually just because.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the stats. Most of the time, I'm working off of a character sheet that somebody's given me, so I'm just kind of translating it.
Right. And as far as Jimmy and Chuck, what do you guys do the same thing, or is it just do you roll up your players, or do you let them bring you the characters?
I don't know. Well, typically what I do is of course, there's always the exception, but I have them roll, because in 5e you can roll the dice and roll up the characters pretty well, automated. So I just have them roll and drop we'll just post the numbers, drop the lowest, and move on. I typically do 46, drop 1. I'll let them do point buy, or I'll let them do the
2 for 1
array.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever the 5e is, But typically,
Okay. Cool.
Friday. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Mike, that's a good start, right? We got a cleric here. Was he supposed to be a dwarf? I made him a human, but doesn't matter.
Did you make him human?
Yeah. Can I change it?
Oh, you did. No, you can't. Well, I mean, if you knew what you were doing, you could go through and tweak it. But yeah, so that's one of the kind of downsides to all the automation as far as classes go.
Right.
One of the things about 2E is you have the level drain. Level drain is the bane of Fantasy Grounds. You can't really easily do
Go
that
backwards. Okay.
Okay. It's very hard to go backwards. I mean, I could code something that would allow it to work, but it would make things kind of really clunky on the character, on the class side. So it's just easier to let people just come up with their own sort of manual way to deal with it, however they want. Note it on some sheet or something. But,
yeah, that's a tough one, man. I hadn't thought about that. Golly.
Yeah.
It's super hard.
Here's another thing that's really crazy. You have all these specialty wizards in. You have Abjurer, because that's the way 2nd edition is. So, but you have Mage down, which is good. Because a lot of people don't want to play those specialty classes. Like for example, our Necromancer class is it's customized so that it has its own spell list or whatever. We don't have it, so we don't have opposed spheres like they do in 2E. But then again, everyone has house rules, so you just work around them. But I just noticed that you have all those in there. So
yeah, if you look at you go back to the class list again and don't set the group to all. And then you can see all those classes that are added because the priest's book. Or did you load the priest book? I don't think you did.
Load the priest book.
Okay, yeah, it has 50 plus variant clerics. So like a cleric of law, a cleric of magic, a cleric of nature.
Now it's loaded.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. You said
that's
I'm
okay.
A complete noob. Whoops. Oh. I didn't put him in.
I don't see the cleric. Anyways, if you had the cleric handbook loaded, complete book, it would show all the variant ones. So it's basically if anybody has any kind of priest in their setting, it's got at least a baseline that they can work from for that specialty priest. And 2E, especially priests were one of the coolest things. I really enjoyed having.
There it goes. There it goes. There we go. Oh, I see. Wow. Okay. Holy shit. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Holy.
That's what I said when I did all the other handbooks and I started doing that one and I saw 50 something classes. That is a huge amount of it was not fun.
Damn.
But that one's actually not out yet. I submitted it like a week and a half ago for Q&A for Waxy. So hopefully it'll be out in a week and a half. More. We'll see.
It's not going to be on my scroller now. Mike, you didn't tell me about that one. You'll see. You'll see down the road.
Actually, the Ranger one I also submitted this week, so it'll be 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, I noticed you have 1E Ranger and 2E Ranger in here.
The 1E Ranger it's because it's listed in the Ranger's Handbook. They specifically called out that class and gave the details for it, so I put it in there. There's not a huge. I mean, there's some differences. I mean, I know the 1E Ranger guys probably more adept at picking out the differences, but I don't think they had the dual wielding automatically and some other things.
Yeah, the armor wearing, you could wear it studded with no penalty, and you did an old school Ranger tended to wear heavier armor, with a shield, if you guys remember, and the second edition Ranger was more of a dual wielding, hide in shadows, outdoor, kind of almost like a bandit would be. So that was cool. So you guys have any questions of Mike so far?
I do. I've got
Go for it.
Well, it's about, we just talking about all those 3,000 classes in there. What's the functionality for multi-classing?
It works just like it's supposed to. Well, I say
in 5e?
It works like it does in 1E and 2E, AD&D. It's multi-class. You level up at the same time. You can dual class also. And I've got a blank character in there if you want to do a multi-class later. But at first level, if you want to be a fighter mage, you drag and drop fighter on there. You drag and drop mage on there, and it does what 1E or AD&D expects, and it splits the hit point rolls, does all the magic behind the scenes so that it calculates all that properly. So when you level up as a mage, it's only going to add a maximum of 2 hit points. If you level up as a fighter, it's only going to add a maximum of 5. And it also deals with all the proficiency point, how many non-weapon proficiencies you have and weapon proficiencies, and it does all that stuff in the background, so you don't have to remember all that.
So is that because you build it on top of 5e? As far as the drag and drop stuff goes.
The drag and drop is just a functionality of Fantasy Grounds, but and the multi-class stuff is complete. I had to completely rip out what they had in 5e because it's nothing like it is in AD&D.
Right.
It's completely different. The 5e version or anything 3 plus, their multi-class is what AD&D would call dual class.
Right.
But you can dual class. There's a little selector option when you decide to add one later after first level. You just turn off that and it's no longer active. You drag and drop the new one, and then it'll start tracking. It'll say, okay, after this many hit die for that, it'll start adding hit points if it's got them. I was
just going to ask how your the XP routing works when you end an encounter with the dual classing.
Well, dual classing, it's you're not supposed to get experience from the first guy anymore anyways. So if you play a fighter up to 5th,
so that toggle kind of handles it for you then?
Right. When you apply, it'll only apply experience to the classes that are active. So there's a little tick. You check whether it's on or off. Multi-class, you don't deactivate those. They're always active, and it always splits the XP evenly.
Oh,
Some people house ruled multi-class to where you'd say, well, you were more of a fighter than you were a mage, so I'm going to give you more experience on there. The only variance that will come out of that is if you have the proficiency bonus for, like if your primary stat is in fighter is you get the 10% bonus and you don't get it in the mage because your intelligence isn't high enough. That'll be the only difference where the XP won't be exactly the same between the two.
That's
we're
a
kind
great
of getting
question.
in the weeds. But...
No, that is a fantastic question, man. That was a great question because that's a huge. If you go back to the 1E days, I mean, the half-elf fighter clerk mage is where it was at, right? So, it's definitely, and we have a ton of multi-class characters in our campaign. It's going to make a big difference, absolutely. Gazumba himself is a fighter clerk mage, so it just goes. And these characters we're talking about are going back to 79, 80, so it's going to be fantastic. We could actually put them in here if we wanted to. That's a great question. Anyone else have a question for Mike before we move on from this point? Like I said, I don't know how slow or fast we're going to go on this, but this is very educational for me, and I really appreciate you taking your time out to do this. So, Mike, why don't you continue onward with what you want to show us? And
okay, so one of the other things is spells. Spells are, something that can be difficult. In Fantasy Grounds, they're pretty easy to do. So I want to go to, if you all look on your character sheet, there is a tab near the bottom that says Actions. It's on your character sheet.
Okay.
On the right side,
Yep.
near the bottom.
Yep.
Click on your Actions tab.
Mm-hmm. Actions tab.
And
yep.
then, the 5e guys will be a little confused by this because they have all of their stuff listed in one page on mine.
We're always confused.
But on the AD&D rule set, there's 2 tabs. There's tabs within tabs. So you see there's a weapons and then there's a powers. So what I want you to do is click on the powers tab. Mm-hmm. That one up there.
Yep.
Click on the powers tab down there. There you go. So I've already added a couple. I've added a couple of. My problem was they got too cluttered up when they were all on one page. And I've also set it in preparation mode so you can see how many spells you got. You also see at the top it lists your how many spell slots you have per, like there's divine and arcane. Arcane is a wizard and divine is priest. Mm-hmm. So yours, you have one wizard or you have one cleric spell first level, and then I put 2 spells in your list of spells. Clerics are a little different than wizards because obviously they've got to have a book. They've got to find their spells and put them in there. Clerics are a little different. You basically can just pray for whatever your deity will let you. So,
but Mike, don't they have 3 spells because of his wisdom bonus?
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up. There is no
Nice.
automation
Okay.
for the bonus spells right now.
Okay.
It's something that I'm working on. And the reason it doesn't is because the base rule set that I started working with didn't do that. So the 5e one didn't do it either. What I'm going to end up doing is making a config option for like this preparation window will allow you to open up a config window and have like bonus class kit, item, and then just a miscellaneous modifier to each slot. That way, if any of those objects modify the spells, it'll automatically do it. Right now, what you do is you put a 3 in that slot. If you want to do that now, you can go ahead and just click on it and type 3.
Oh, you can manually change it. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just set it to 3.
Now he's happy. He's a tough crowd.
But when you level up now,
Right.
it
gonna change
won't forget you put 3 there. It'll automatically just add the
To
slots
4.
and that's
Okay.
one. So
Yeah.
yeah, when you get to where you can cast second level spells, you need to add the number there as well.
Okay.
So
we
if you
have,
want to go ahead, sir.
we have extra spell slot as a feat that is combined into our proficiency system. That's easy to do here. Then I just manually change it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool.
So what I wanted to show you is just kind of how easy it is to add a spell. So if you click on the spell records on the right, there's the spells, and it should bring up the whole list. The right side of the desktop, the Fantasy Grounds desktop.
I got it. Dun, dun, dun. I'll put that in the middle. Yep.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong window.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
you're probably looking at the Twitch window 6 seconds behind. You
I
want
can't
to
see the window.
you want to
on here, so
maximize
that's
the
not-
window, my broadcast to you, which is the entire XSplit broadcaster. That's what you want. Yeah, that's live. So that's the cool thing about XSplit.
Okay, so
Mhm.
now what you can do on the filters is set the type to divine at the very
Mhm.
bottom on that. Well, you can do that too.
Oh,
And it'll list all the spells by the spheres and various things. But on the bottom filter, I like using
Okay,
this because
I
you can
see.
set like the level to certain
go.
and set the level to 1.
okay. Set the level to 1. All right, cool.
And now you have a list of all the first level divine spells.
Beautiful.
Obviously, there's one thing I want to bring up. There is no automation for restricting spheres. So, like if you're especially a druid is limited to certain spheres. You have to maintain that yourself. There is a filter you can say filter on elementals or whatever they are, and list only those spells of that level, so you can kind of get an idea. But if you want to, like bless is probably at the top there.
Yep.
If you'll grab that and drag and drop it, kind of in the area where your other spells are, and it'll just add it there.
Beautiful.
Um,
So here's a question.
Hmm?
Please jump in, everyone. This is actually more difficult to do than 5e because there's a lot less spells in 5e than there is in 1e and 2e, correct? Because the spheres are kind of limited up, right? So Mike's got a lot more work on his hands here. Is that the case?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as him working it over, oh God, yes.
Okay.
That's a Herculean task. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I figured because when the only time I played 5e with Brian, it's like I got these 5 spells to choose from. All right.
No offense to 5e, but it's literally just a dumbed down version of Dungeons and Dragons that we're used to.
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Streamline. Let's go streamline.
Streamline.
Don't start. No addition wars.
Resemble that?
That's awesome. No, I was just curious because it's like what I'm thinking here now is like, man, all the spells that are out there. It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
yeah,
So-
right now we've only got the player's handbook, but and then there's the wizard handbook, which also has spells.
Tome of
I think the
Magic,
ranger
Player's
ones
Option.
as yeah, the Tome of Magic isn't a product yet, but it's on the list of things that we can possibly do. There's a lot of different ones that we could go with and add stuff to. I'm kind of eyeballing the monster stuff, but I won't speak to that right now because that's kind of outside. But on your character sheet, click that pencil for a second down there
Sure.
to get you out of edit mode,
Sure.
and then on the God, I can't read that. The second mode where you got group, set that to action. No,
Set-
you were right down there at the bottom. The
Action. Yeah.
Oh,
Group. Display group.
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah. Change that to action.
Change that to action. Wait a minute. There you go.
Right there. There you go. Right there. So the reason I wanted to show you this is you can see that there's a 0 on all of those, and then there's like an arrow on left and right. That's how you memorize or pray, for a spell. So like if you wanted to memorize bless, you could do that 3 times. But if you try to do, once you've hit your limit of 3 and you try to do something else, say, hey, you can't do that. And then when you cast a spell, it'll tick one of those out so that you've already used one of them. So it keeps track of it for you. Items work a little differently, but you set the number of charges on it, and then when you cast it, it'll do a little tick box of however many you've got, so you know how many.
It's like a wand of magic missiles, 23 charges or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, I could probably put one on your character sheet from this side. Give me a second.
So, as he's doing that, gents, so
a question for him.
Go for
Out
it.
of curiosity, why did you choose to do it that way versus, or why did you have to do it that way versus the way it is in 5e with it being on the left-hand side?
With what being on the left-hand side?
Memorization. Yeah.
Because the way 5e does, it doesn't do preparation. It just says it's like more like a sorcerer.
Yeah.
You just said, I've got this spell is prepped and I can cast it, however many times I can a day, or I can cast this other one however many times a day.
Fair.
There wasn't a mechanic to do it. I'm actually thinking about going back and I'll let me drag and put this on this thing. I'm thinking about changing it to where let's see. Sorry, I'm playing with your character sheet.
No, go for it. The human dwarf / dwarf cleric. Beautiful.
What you're saying about maybe back and doing something sort of hybrid or something?
I'm thinking about changing it back to where the way you track items, like you set how many charges there is on an item, and what I'm thinking about doing is make it to where you have it. You say this is a memorized spell and it has X amount of slots in your preparation mode, and then when you go back to combat or standard, it's just got the tick marks, and then as you cast it, it'll tick them off, or the opposite way. I think I'm trying to get away from this whole 0 and thing, the arrows, because I don't know, it doesn't fit the UI too well for me. I think the charges one looks a little better, so I may do that.
Brilliant. Great question again, man. Thank you. So it's the scope of this is hitting me now on how much work he's done. I'm serious. Wow. I mean, it's just
code stuff, let alone this. This is insane.
Yeah, but it's
amazing.
Brilliant that I guarantee you, and the gentleman Scotty 2K and some others, I know there's a lot of people from our Discord who were really interested.
Sure.
It's going to open up doors. Because there's a lot of people who don't want to touch, the old, like us old curmudgeons who don't want to touch 5e. We're playing, but they have no one, and there's no VTT to play with now. But now there is. It's huge. It's huge.
Surprised that he was turning out those books too. That's amazing, dude. You're doing that as well.
Get off my lawn, Sprocket. I'm sorry. Sprocket's our oldest curmudgeon of all. If you guys know Sprocket, Sprocket is a gentleman from the UK in the 70s, and we love to have him with us. Him and Low 505. You guys know Low. Low's the most miserable bastard on the planet, but he's an old school guy too. So
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You're vintage. That's right, Sprocket. You're vintage. Brian, so you've been quiet. What do you think, man?
Oh, I'm actually trying to get my fantasy grounds working.
Don't say that on air.
No, it works just fine, but for some reason, it's not just me. Sounds like there's a couple other folks that have been having issues with a connection to Fantasy Grounds. I guess there was an update to like Windows Defender. So,
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Defender's blocking it.
And the new update's hitting right now.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of what my research. Sorry, that was me just kind of researching.
No, it's good, man. It's we want to make sure we're ready to go for next.
I mean, it's the same thing, same issues I was hitting last week that I just never bothered to look into today.
So for those of you who are new to the show, we have what's called, I call it I ripped this off, obviously. The Saturday night special. Every 4 to 8 weeks, you like that? Every 4 to 8 weeks, we're just going to do something, and it's different than what we do normally. So the last one we did was a month ago. Brian DM'd for us. He DM'd for me, Anna Meyer. And it doesn't get any bigger than Anna. The Naz, like one of our best subs, who's been on the longest, and my buddy Bill the Master Crafter. Well, Bill can't make it, so Will from Wicked Studios, Will from Return of the Bandit Kingdoms, he's going to take his place this Saturday. We're going to do another one, but we're going to do more. I know Mike wants to jump in. I know Jimmy, you said you wanted to do something too.
I'm glad to.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do some other things. I have a tabletop game. We're going to do, but anything goes when we do a Saturday night special. It doesn't have to be campaign based. It can be someone else's campaign, but that was just my idea to throw a wrench into it. Brian's is Greyhawk based, just so everyone knows. So our next one is next Saturday night to continue what Brian's doing in the Saltmarsh Burl area in his 5e Greyhawk world. So cool stuff. Yeah. Most bitter sub. Now you're not Naz. You've been great. So, all right, Mike, what else we got?
Okay, so I put the Wand of Magic Missiles in there, and
cool.
So the way you normally do this, Magic Missile doesn't have a save, but if you click the little dice button, the cast, not the yellow one, but that one right there, it'll burn off the charge. You notice it added a tick to the box. You can just keep clicking, and as somebody would use it, that's what would happen. It would keep track of the charges like that on there.
Cool.
If you were when you're doing damage, you would grab a hold of that little tear, that red teardrop. Right. You'd either drag and drop it on the monster, or however it is, that I'm not going to go into right now.
Yeah, I see that. No, it's cool. Awesome.
So, the Staff of Power is much more complex than this one. It's got tons of stuff, but it does all that other stuff too. So
I'm going to ask something really stupid. Can you do retributive strikes?
You can make it an effect. Or you can make it a damage thing on the item. I didn't, and now that you say that, maybe I'll go back and have it set to where it'll do. I don't know if I can have it set up to automatically do the charges part, because I think if I recall, it's based on the charge count on the staff when you break it.
I mean, it's such a rare thing that happens in the game, but it just came to me with staffs that that would be something cool. But once again, we don't want to make your life any more complicated than it already is.
Well, and also doing something like that, it complicates a lot of other things, and it just makes the UI a little hard to deal with. So and that's kind of the thing. Some people say, "Hey, why don't you do this?" I would love to, but adding that would make it really hard for all these options that are there right now. Make it kind of confusing to some people, and adding things that just really don't. Come into 90% of the game tables
it's going to be a learning curve for me if I ever use it, Mike. I mean, that's why you DMing something for us first would be huge, because it's different.
Best way to learn.
Yeah,
only way to learn it. Yeah,
it's the only way to learn it down the road. So, Brian, can you do me a favor? Brian, can you link your Obsidian Portal game into the chat so people can check it out? How awesome it is. So, Brian's
website looks awesome, by the way.
You took a look at it already, right? You saw it last time, yeah.
When you and y'all were playing, yeah.
Yeah, he's got custom rules, custom crafting, masterwork. Of course, you can't even link that, right?
What was that?
There you go. Thank you. Awesome.
I was pulling it up. Sorry.
There you go. Beautiful. All right, Mike. So that's. I'm sorry I asked that question. That was really a dumb one. I mean, a retributive strike happens once in a blue moon, but it just came to me.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It gave me an excuse to say why I don't add everything that everybody wants. And again, I would love to do a lot. If FGU comes out and it gives me a little bit more
leeway with things,
changes with some controls. If the controls gives me some dynamic menu options that I don't have right now, it would definitely make stuff like that a little easier to deal with. Right now, it's and I don't even know if that's going to be an option up front. It may be a year or 6 months from now before that stuff can happen. So.
Well, considering this has been two and a half years into working, it's just like to a culmination at this point, man. I mean, you got to be so happy.
Oh, I am. I've told some other people that if I could have given this away for free, I would have, but I couldn't because WotC owns the license.
Right.
I do this because I love to play D&D, and I enjoy doing this kind of work. Because I can't play D&D as often as I want, and when I don't play, I'm doing this. So
yeah. So let me ask this general question to the three of you. Any of you guys going to play an old school game using 2E? You know,
completely honest with you.
Does my eye of beholder game count when I'm?
I'm curious. I know Brian's not. I do it. I know you play Castle Crusades, which is pretty close anyway.
It's close. Yeah.
I'm always willing to try stuff. Don't say Brian just won't, but I'm not going to run anything.
Well, Mike knows that that's all I'm going to do. So
I'm going to buy the module set to support Mike in the program. There's no doubt about that.
That's awesome. Yes, Mike gets a piece of everything.
The only reason I bought it was to help him out because I know his mission. But honestly, I have to do. I'm actually in the middle of dealing with getting our rule set upgrade. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
The guy that's
I'll
been
do the
doing
same thing.
Mike, I may be talking to you soon, actually. But anyway,
I'd be too damn scared to run it for you guys. You'd rip me apart, man.
That's awesome.
Never go back to 5e.
Back with my tail between my legs. Those guys are mean.
Those guys are mean to me. Oh man, you guys know
what
hard. Hey, you guys know what I have to deal with on a Thursday night with Alan. So you know, it's nothing compared to the 1E, 2E, 5E argument. So, although he was pretty good on Thursday night, I'll have to admit. So, or Tim, excuse me, I kicked out a plug. Mike, so what do you want to show us next?
So I was going to say, he was saying that they would give him a hard time. I have actually run a 5e game before, so it can happen. It goes both ways. So. I mean, I do.
Right.
2e is my game, but I did some 5e stuff because Fantasy Grounds, again, I did not have to know the system, like I know AD&D because of Fantasy Grounds just makes it so much easier.
The automation,
what guys?
Killer.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have a huge homebrew list that I use, and basically I take 5e and I just play it like 2e. I mean, I got bouncing lightning bolts, I've got it's long. I do life drain, and all that stuff, but I just do it right in the corner,
And that's it. I mean, we all homebrew our rules. It's just this is one of 14 books I have in my basement, and this one's Races and Classes. I mean, I've seen them behind me. Yeah, 14 color-coded books beyond what we do in the normal books. So classes and all sorts of things. So it's cool. Absolutely. So all right, I'm excited for some.
Let's add some armor and weapons to your guys so we can do like a little simple combat scenario. So if you go to the items list on the right, on the list, the records list, there will be like some hotkeys at the top. One will be weapon, one will be armor. Yeah. And you can click on either one of those. Pick whatever armor you want.
Well, we're going to go with the bizarre in between plate mail and full plate field plate. How's that?
Gotcha.
I'm gonna step away for a little bit. Brianna,
I swing this over to where?
Okay, go ahead. You can release it because you need to go to that inventory tab on your character sheet.
There we go.
And then grab a hold of the black dot. The black dot to the right of the item.
The black dot to the right of the item. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that big thing, and then stick it in the middle of your inventory sheet. Just drop it.
Cool.
All right.
Yep.
And then
shield.
You can close. Yep. Shield too.
Shield. Why not?
And make sure both of them show as equipped. That it looks like a T-shirt,
right?
On both of them. Okay, if they are, then you're good.
Cool.
And then you can go ahead and close the armor one and click the weapon.
Okay.
And pick a weapon.
Let's see what's bizarre here. That's cool. Nice. So this looks like a decent list. We're gonna pretend he's a dwarf. We'll go Footman's Pick. So now I can just go like that across. Yep, there it is. It's equipped. All right, cool.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So now if you go back to your actions tab on your character sheet.
Yep.
And then go to weapons. The inner tab for weapons, you can see that it added your pick. So the red box is for like if you want to attack, you double click that or drag and drop it onto something. The orange one to the left is your initiative. If you want to use you roll an initiative for that weapon, you would you would double click that and it would use that for that initiative.
Wow.
And then the damage list there is for the top one is going to be whatever your damage is, and then the one below that is going to be, and you can see it says large in the type. So some of them don't have large damage, some of them are just one type, so you'll just have one list. But that's the best mechanic that I could come up to do that.
So speed factor initiative in 5e is based on the dexterity only. Is that correct? Racial and dexterity. Is there any other, like, when you roll for initiative, how does that determined in Fantasy Grounds in 5e, guys? Yeah. Okay. This takes the weapon into account, the old Gary Gygax way of doing it. So it's dex and weapon combined, Mike?
No, dexterity does not adjust your
it's just
initiative
weapon.
in
Okay.
8D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2E. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mike, I have to comment. The color coding is amazing. That's a brilliant idea, man. I'm telling you what, that's
Dude.
brilliant.
It took me 6-7 months to come to that because my players, again, I had to get this from my players. I had like dice there, and I thought, to me it's pretty obvious, but they would like always click the initiative for their attack or click the attack for their initiative, and they were just mixing it up. It was like, okay, orange, red, you can't mix it up.
Beautiful.
You know, and they haven't had a lot but I've also coded it to where they can't roll initiative twice. Once they roll it, it's set until the next round. They can force an override, but it'll say, you know, somebody's overrun their dice. Because I don't know about you guys, have you ever had somebody roll initiative when it was their initiative and it totally just screws up the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
It shifts the initiative to where that person was, and if they happen to roll at the very end, you just skipped everybody.
Huh.
And then you never see it. So
I just rewind the stream and then I can go see what happened.
Brilliant.
That's an advantage to being live. Tie, reroll, you know. So
Tell John to put that in there. That's great, man.
That's cool. Beautiful.
Yeah, I've also got it set on the portraits, and you can't see on my side. I mean, I could share my desktop, but I don't think it would show well enough. But on the portraits for the DM, there's a little red dice in there, and then when they roll their initiative, that red dice disappears. So you know who's rolled and who hasn't. So you can say, Bob, you need to roll, or Jack, you need to roll, or, you know, instead of saying somebody has, you know, are missing somebody because they didn't roll. You know, I know 5e doesn't do initiative every round unless you use the optional rules, but 8E does. So.
Yes, it does. And
okay.
So can you turn that off, the weapon speed factor, if you wanted to do it just the old-fashioned way?
If you just want to roll straight initiative on the front of the character sheet, there is a initiative option, just says in it, and it's 0. That's there is no modifier like the bottom right in that combat section down there at the bottom. You can just double click the one that says INIT. It's to the right of THACO.
Okay, so I got to go back to actions. And
No, you're right.
Nope, I was right here.
You're
okay,
right.
Okay. I see.
Right there. Yeah, you can just double click or drag that, and it'll roll it using that. Which it just
beautiful. Okay.
Rolls a D10 with no modifiers. If you want to add modifiers to it, you can.
Great option. So you could, if you wanted to, put the Dex modifier there. If you wanted to do that type of init system, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. If you just wanted to do a flat initiative.
All right.
Nice. So I'm going to set up a quick little encounter. You do whatever you need to do. I'll do this real quick.
The less the extensions you have to write, the better off you are.
So as he's setting it up, Jimmy, why don't you tell me a little bit about your is it Savage Worlds Western game, man? Because that seems cool.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. So
well, it's the Deadlands rule set, you know, based off inside Savage Worlds, but you know, the Savage Worlds world, I mean, they've got 20-30 different games systems.
Oh my god.
You know? Yeah. You know,
any genre you want, really.
Pretty much, from Weird Wars, you know, World War I, II, to Deadlands, to High Seas, to the space. They've got all of it, and so, but you know, everything's still. They've got, each one is tweaked just a little bit to add its unique flair, especially like edges, which are bonuses, or your some of your bad traits, things like, you know, hindrances. But yeah, so I wanted, just because I'm from Texas, I wanted to try to get that loaded up and play it. And I've got Devil Dog, who's in the chat, is one of the players, and then I've got two other guys and a Mai, females. The 4 of them are playing, and I'm still learning it. I still haven't got my hands all wrapped around it, but you know, it's a lot of fun. They need and Chuck can backing up this a little bit. It's definitely a more RP based system, I would say. If you watch like Saving Throw Show who runs the Deadlands, and they're running East Texas University right now, you know, you've got a lot more of that. And the roles are, I don't find it as combat intensive.
No, it's very narrative driven.
Yeah. very much
Old
so.
school. It's like old school, not 5e. It's old school.
Yeah.
Is it like Boot
So-
Hill old school, or is it way better?
It's different.
It's different.
Different.
Exploding
Okay.
dice. You've
Yeah.
got bennies. There's all kinds of.
Yeah,
funky
bennies. Yeah, there are special ways to reroll dice and all that by
Okay.
getting the doing things in game that you can earn them, and the DM can you want to give them out. I do like it. I want to research and look at some of the more modules that are released to bring some more extra flair in it, because it's hard on I think from the streaming side when you're used to the Fantasy Grounds, the RP side, because it's the Fantasy Grounds is with 5e, it's a huge automation. On the Savage Worlds, and the thing Chuck was saying that with Castle Crusades, the automation, they got to bring it still to maturity, because 5e just took the cake. So
Beautiful.
Other than I guess Paizo 5e's now that's got all of the functionality I like.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Starfinder's got some nice stuff, but
Yep.
no
Well,
money.
we run that on it's on Monday nights, every other Monday, because I'm now doing the Wizards of the Couch thing, which is on a Monday night. So we're going to alternate those.
The Grouch Couch just.
the Grouch Couch, Jimmy.
I like that. Who is that? The Grouch?
I had some bizarre names on Thursday
I
night.
like
I
that
had
name.
some crazy ones. Yeah, you saw coffee with no caffeine. I was like, what? Yeah, so thank you for that. All right, so we got a combat set up here.
Okay, so what you'll want to do is you may need to resize the image window to fit your desktop a little better. I don't know what your desktop looks like, but you're probably gonna want to be able to see your character sheet, or at least the major portion of it, and you're also going to want to have the combat tracker up. And the combat tracker up on the right options on the top right, there's cross swords. If you click on that,
Yep.
it'll bring up a new. You can slide that somewhere.
Well, that's kind of the same as 5e. They have a combat
Yes.
tracker. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it looks a little different on my end as far as the way the NPCs look. That the 5e guys wouldn't be as familiar, but I mean the way I do the attacks and actions that NPCs have, they look exactly the same as the players. So anything you see on the actions tab on the NPC is going to be exactly the same way it looks in the combat tracker on the NPC. And in fact, you can drag weapons and drop it on there and do all kinds of things the
Really?
same way you would with a PC. Yeah.
Oh my!
It's
Awesome.
nice. It's nice, but there's an added problem is Fantasy Ground can't deal with nodes, which are the database entries for each one of these. So if you've got a ton of nodes, which the AD&D 2e rule set has more nodes than the 5e one. So when you drag and drop, say 10 NPCs on the combat tracker, it'll probably take 5 seconds, 4 seconds, depending on how many actions. So like if you drag and drop, 10 Draco Liches, which have probably the most amount of,
Special.
they have a
bonus.
huge amount of powers,
Yeah.
huge amount of spells. They have a ton of stuff. If you drag and drop 10 of those, it's going to be, you're going to have to sit there and I tend to describe the room after I'll drag and drop the NPCs into the combat tracker. They can't see it when you first do it. So I'll do that. And then while that's going, I'm expanding on what's in the room, how how everything's set up, and just to kind of keep people from being, waiting for the monsters to be ready. So,
Well, that should speed up, though, should it, Mike, with Unity?
I hope,
It
John,
has to be because 64-bit system then. So
Well, I don't know if the problem is the 64-bit system or something how they handle the API. It's the API itself, is what John has told me. So it might, more than likely it will improve, just because FGU is going to have 64-bit functionality and more access to memory and various other things. So
yeah,
I can't imagine it won't get better.
it won't get worse.
We'll
Don't
see.
say that.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm not doing on this, but while I'm thinking about it, I've been trying to find out. I guess John them's keeping it kind of close, but I want to know if they did anything. Did they add anything, any other back end besides just Lua? I know they did Lua obviously for backwards compatibility, but some Python or something would be really nice to have in there. Wonder.
They haven't. I wouldn't be a fan of Python just because I hate using indentation for scope. But if they use like JavaScript or Java or anything, any kind of, I wouldn't go Perl. But I think JavaScript is probably more popular than Python is definitely a popular language. I think JavaScript is probably. I don't know what's used more, but those are two very popular ones. So.
Mm-hmm.
If I had my choice, I would have went with JavaScript, but that's just me.
Fortran, that's right, Sprague.
That's all.
COBOL, baby.
COBOL. Oh my
COBOL.
gosh.
Oh, Lord.
Oh man, that's funny. He's always good for those
I was gonna-
blurs, those one-liners.
I was going to make a comment about that. If it's now for me, what I do, because I have a lot of problem putting a lot of mobs on Combat Tracker on my system just because of, I don't know why, but it is. I have problems with it sometimes. Over the years, I've just got to the point to what I do. If I want to have more than, like, say, 8 or 10 things on there, I just create units and put them on there. Just make one big, and then I just knock it down with hit points or whatever. Because that way I don't have to deal with all the loading and all that stuff.
I started. I didn't really notice it until I was running the Pools of Radiance Adventure, and you guys, if you've never run that, go back and look. And there is some encounters where there's like 50, 60, 80 monsters. I mean, the very first thing that you're supposed to do is you're clearing off that island. There's like 40 some odd orcs and like 20 some odd skeletons, and that's when I realized I had the node issue. So what I started doing is I'd have like 10 and spawn those and have different waves of monsters instead of just 50 all at once. I mean, if you try to throw in 50 giant rats, I mean, you can. You just be prepared to wait. It's just. I think 5e is going to do the same thing if you do that many monsters.
It will.
Okay.
It will.
Like a 3-week encounter.
Yeah.
I've had it happen to me.
Oh yeah. Y'all have, I'm sure.
It's good to know though. It's good to know that you want to really do stuff in waves as opposed to throwing out, filling that screen with mobs. I appreciate that information. Cool.
So we've got the battle map there, and you can see I've got your character there. And let me turn on some options that I should have done before we started. And go ahead and talk. I'll set this up.
All right, sounds good.
Sorry.
So, as far as age, gentlemen, I know we're all roughly the same age. How many years have you been DMing for? I mean, I go back to 78, 79. What do you think, Duff? You and Chuck, you guys go back that far? Close?
Well,
I was like
when
12,
we got
13.
introduced to it, it was 1980. But
Okay.
Chuck, I can't say that I spent all these years DMing. There's no doubt about I took several decades off for other life experiences, and just came back around in the late 20. Well, I guess like I told Chuck, I got pulled back into it by playing Castle Crusades, and so I'm very interested in bringing that rule set back around some because. When 5e took off, I totally missed 3, 5, and 4. Just went right past those. And so we're doing other stuff. But for me, the DM and lately it's just been since 2016, 2015. Actually, when 5e came out, which was 2014 or 2015? When did 5e get released, Chuck? I can't remember.
12.
Was it back then? Okay.
I think it was next in 212.
That's right. That's what it was, because we were doing Temple of Elemental Evil, doing a conversion on that and playing. Yeah.
Yeah. I started when I was 9. One of these deals where I was following a buddy down the road. He goes, "Oh, we're gonna try some new game out." 77 when I started.
All right, so you're before me, man. That's awesome.
Well, I love it, man.
I
can't explain the values of it to people. The people just don't understand. I mean, it's truly not Satan's game. Okay.
No. What was it? Learning. Come on, the one where the cartoon was the best, where they burned the books and she killed herself because her character died. They killed Blackleaf. Oh, what was the name of that? Oh my gosh! And they used to slip it in between the players' handbooks at the stores.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, those were
I literally, when I retired last year from teaching, because I was a businessman most of my life, but the last 10 years I retired and became a school teacher. And I'm not making this up. I actually used 5e to teach the Oregon Trail. We did Oregon Trail, and they had character sheets and dice.
Really?
Oh, it was great, man. Yeah, it was great. So I can't deny the value of role playing games. It's
awesome. Yeah. All right, Mike, looks like you're up and running there.
Yes. I got it set up to where you can see your health bar on your token and the names on each NPC, so you can kind of see Cobalt 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
So what I want you to do is roll initiative. Either use the initiative on the front of your character sheet or use your weapon.
Well, my speed factor's slow at 7, so I'm going to hit that 0 right there. Here we go. So we're gonna roll that die. 4.
All right, so you do beat them. They've got a 10, so we'll start with you.
Well, I'm casting my bless spell now to get +1 to hit, right?
Okay.
'Cause
Well,
I'm outnumbered.
what you could have done is roll initiative for the spell. So if you look at that, if you go to
okay.
Actions tab, and then
Okay.
look at
DM.
the
Slap him down.
go to Powers.
Yep.
There you go. The yellow ones do the same thing there. So if you double click that, it would roll initiative, but it won't let you
Because I already
because
rolled.
you've already
I want to
rolled.
roll again.
But if you hold the Alt key and double click it, it'll let you do it.
+10, they're going to go first then, huh? All right, well, let's just do that. So you said the Alt key
You don't
and
need
double?
to roll initiative. I'll let you go ahead and just do it.
Oh, thanks.
But so click the cast button. And that's the only reason you click the cast button is to, oh, well, you don't have it memorized, so you can't cast it.
Ah. All right, well, here, we'll just do one of each. There we go. Okay.
Okay, there you go. So now you cast it, and it'll remove the memorization slot. And then the little effect that's after the cast button, you would drag and drop that or select all the characters that are
Like
on
that?
the,
There we go.
yes.
Okay.
You can drag and drop it on there. If you had multiple people, there's options at the top of the map, and I'm not going to go into that right now, but you could mass select all friendlies or mass select all enemies. So if you're doing a fireball and everybody's on, all the enemies going to be hit by it, you would just click that button and it would automatically select all 3 of them.
Cool.
So now that we've got that out of the way, let's see what my guys do. And
Now, this is one you can't run up and swing in the same damn round. Or can you? See, we have a custom rule. We have a
absolutely.
we have a 10-foot rule.
Remember?
Yeah.
You can charge. You can all 3 of them can charge. Actually, I'm moving.
Gorg's so dead.
You got a 10-foot roll you said you used?
CPK.
Well, they're all nice. Yeah, Bless is only on me. It's not on them. So yeah, he's so dead. Although his armor clash is pretty good with field plate and shield out. So
Yeah.
So if you look in the combat the text, you can see
attack,
that
short sword,
the text is red because, and I use that to indicate that you've been hit. You can look at all the text if you want to.
Yeah.
And then he does a d6 damage, which is 1. So you were wounded. And the other guys are just going to run up next to you, and I'm not going to make them all 3 attack because they'll kill you outright probably.
Yeah. It's
and
hard.
then next round.
Never go out solo. Rule number 1.
No. Okay. So go ahead and roll initiative. They've already done so.
Right.
NPCs automatically roll using their default, whatever it's set to.
All right, so I got to go back to my
roll
character
terribly.
front. Oops, shoot. I just closed that. I shouldn't have. Okay. So I need to go to main, and I'm just going to do this. And, that's bad.
No, you still beat them. They have a 12. So
Oh, okay. There you go.
you get to go first.
All right, so now I go to actions. I go to weapon, right?
Yep, the weapon.
And I go attack. I click. It's on the red, right?
If you grab,
the sword.
The way I do it,
Yeah.
the way I do it,
Okay.
grab a hold of that. Actually, you know what we never did? I don't think we set up your proficiencies for weapons.
Yeah, because I'm not proficient. -3 is a penalty.
No,
knew that
do you want to walk through how to do it, or do you want me to just do it for you?
You
real
can
quick?
just do that. We can. Yeah. we
Okay.
can, yeah.
And you're using a pick, right?
Yeah, footman's pick. Yeah. Yeah. So as a clerk, I should have 2. The first level.
Set that up.
Rule number 1 is never split the party. See, we have our Mr. Military on our end. He always likes to scout up ahead, with his ranger types or Steve types or scout types, and I always set something for him because it's just the way I am as a DM. I'm mean. I'm a mean guy. There, I'm +0 now.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've got a tutorial that goes through really in depth and all this, and I'll
Okay,
post
cool.
a link when we're done that covers what I just did.
Hey,
but
Hobbit,
in this
thank you.
case, so just if you grab a hold of the little the red thing, just
Yep.
click and hold the button down, and if you drag it and drop it on top of the NPC, like right there, just drop it.
4 misses.
Yes, it does.
Ah,
Yes, it does.
This
But
guy's
if
so
you look
dead.
if you look in the chat text, you can see you've got an effect of +1 because you're blessed spell too. So.
Okay. Cool.
And just to show how damage works, you can go ahead and do that. Just grab the top that section
One to
where it
6
says
piercing.
does the same thing. Yeah, just drag and drop it on him.
Oh, max damage.
And you kill him outright, and you can see it.
Ah.
Put a little rip token on top of him, and he's dead.
Nice.
And if I had sound, it would play the Wilhelm scream.
That's awesome.
But that's just a really simple kind of combat. So there's not much.
No,
I mean,
but
you can do a lot more complicated things, with spells and stuff. But that kind of gives you an idea of how it works.
it is it's cool, man. It's so cool to have an old school combat system that's available now. I mean, I'm so looking forward to messing with it. So I did the as I posted on Twitter, I did the Fantasy Ground Unity lifetime I bought. So and it was like 135. Yes. So I won't have to worry about buying it again. So yeah, I got that. So but yeah, Mike, when we were talking the other night, remember it was on, the whole thing was on sale for 111. It wasn't. I went on this morning and it wasn't anymore. So I just went the day before or whenever. So I just I can wait until I get the beta out on it. So that's cool, man. It's so cool. You got your spells. What would you consider manageable for player characters at once with this, Mike? What do you think? 6?
I'm not.
Like people.
How
play,
many people are?
How many?
Yeah. Realistic.
That's absolutely going to depend on the player's
Okay.
knowledge of the game,
Okay.
the DM's level of the understanding of the game. I mean, I could probably do 6 or 8.
Right.
And I've had games where I've had 12 people, not in fantasy games, but just at a table,
Right.
12 and 13. But,
Oh yeah, same here.
I think it makes. I mean, the only problem that I have with a lot of players is it gets to where it's hard to talk over people, because you really can't hear more than one person. I mean, you can, but it's not really that. It's not like sitting at a table where all 12 of them can speak and I can focus on the 2 that are doing something. And the other guys can chitty chat, but so it really depends on your ability to keep people focused. But I think with initiative being the way it is, and if you keep the combat going, in my experience, it's quicker than some of the other versions of the game. So you can keep it going pretty quickly. And if you do, people stay focused and they don't get distracted. And when it's a player's turn, I don't know if you noticed, but it should have been dinging your desktop. You may have that turned off, but it has like the window ding. It'll ping them, and so that they're it'll make them aware that it's their turn. It sends a little map on there.
Oh, he's drinking. Oh, he gets giddy when he drinks. He gets really, really sappy when he drinks, guys. So
what's he drinking?
Go ahead. What do you got?
He showed the label, couldn't see it.
Can't hear you, Brian.
Muted.
Boulevard Brewing Tall Tale Tart. It is a delicious sour. It's not as sour as most sours. So if you are not sure if you like sours, I suggest this one. It's out of Kansas City, Missouri.
Cool.
But yeah, it's a little bit maltier than most sours, but it is definitely a really good sour.
If you want to help Brian resurrect something, he has a YouTube chat, Bugbears and Brews, and he drinks.
Awesome.
He drinks during every show. So check it out and see if we can get it to resurrect Bugbears and Brews. I loved watching him, but I know he said, "Oh, my players never watch him anymore." I was like, "Yeah, but you want to do it for the general audience here, man." So
There's people out here that need to see what's going on.
absolutely, especially with all the stuff you've done on with the Greyhawk campaign. Now people are going to want to hear from you. I know. So here's my question. So Mike answered that question. What's your max in Fantasy Grounds you each want to have as player characters? So Duff, what do you think? 6, 8?
Players attached. So you're asking 2 things. I'm looking at players attached into the game or characters that are generated in a game. Because like with the DCC, we were running 16 characters. Okay. There was 4 players and we had 4 characters apiece.
Yeah, but how many are playing at once?
I've had my max has been 7 and it was crazy. I'm comfortable at 5, really good at, and 6 would be the max I like having online.
Brian, I know what yours is. 5. Right?
Yeah, well, 5 is my preference. In person, yes. I normally run 7 people, but you've heard my horror stories of running up to 14 people in person at points. And
Brian, relink your game in Pythix is asking. Okay.
For the Obsidian Portal?
Yes, and Chuck, what about you?
Oh, you can all agree with me on this, I'm sure, at least with you guys are in 5e or just anything, really. The sweet spot's probably 4 to 5, but you need a good padding for those that don't ever show up or whatever. So
yeah, that's the thing with 7. We're normally at 6. That's why it's not like
Right, exactly. I typically try to do 6, and
Okay.
that way I know that if everybody's good and
5.
faithful, I'll work my ass off, and if not, we'll have a 4 to 5 good time. You know, it's
Am I the only DM in the entire world that allows player characters to play 2 guys at once, 2 characters? I guess.
no,
You
Okay.
could do some.
Okay. Okay.
it'll happen. Yes.
Okay. I was just curious, but you don't want to do that in fantasy grounds, correct? So you don't want to have 10.
No, it's fine.
It is
It's
fine.
easy to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Very
It
easy.
has
to
to
do.
It is easy. All right.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
get too complicated if you had 10 player characters, but you had 2 people each. That's my
That's up to
question.
that's up to the player. They better know what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like Dove said, you just have to have a little
Okay.
talk and say, listen.
Mhm.
And if you have a lot, just make some adjustments. You know,
Okay.
if you've got some people that can't do it, then well,
I'm just not a big fan of same player RP. That's my only
I
thing.
understand that. I understand that. Yeah, I get that totally.
Well, you're also not a big fan of someone saying hit points or level or any of those.
No, I'm not. No,
Oh, yes,
In my games, I
I
have
don't hide the fact that like, and just the same like, if you're at the table and you say, I want to roll a perception check, or I'm doing a persuasion. No, it doesn't work like that. First off, I tell you what kind of check you're rolling. You don't get to dictate to me what kind of check you want to do, because you're going to go to your sheet and go, oh, I'm really good at this. No, you tell me
That's-
what
yeah.
you're saying,
Right.
and then I'll determine what it is.
do that too, Brian. I try to just kind of correct them and teach them, you know, hey, you need to be doing it like this, you know, and this kind of thing.
Oh, just slap them down.
What I was going to say was typically on my games anyways, I have a house rule that if we have, you know, 2 or 3 people out and somebody wants to pick up another character just to keep, because if you're in the middle of combat or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
multiple.
So what
You
I do
have to.
is I reward them. I'll give them each inspiration or something like, I'll give them something, you know,
Okay.
to make it.
I hate having to run a character that's missing. Hate it.
Me too, man.
Well, that's
You
why.
guys run it, I'll give you inspiration. you know?
That's why we have what's called joint experience groups now. If you've ever seen my show, where they actually have 3 characters, but they don't. It's a pool in the group, and then if I have guys out, then I have fillers. You know, characters aren't even in the adventure get experience. That's the way we do it, but it's watered down. It's less. That's why they go up a lot slower. So, okay, cool. So Mike just linked the tool set up there. I'm going to put that up, and I'm going to bookmark that right now. So, let's see.
Tutorial.
Yes. All right. Cool. Now, did you make this?
We first need to.
Yeah, I did it in January. This is before I knew that the 2E rule set was going to get accepted by WotC. So there is some minor differences between then and now, but I did it in January because I wanted people to know how to use the community rule set at the time. But it's the exact same rule set. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'm at some point I'm gonna do the same thing for the DM stuff. A really in-depth how to do, because there's a lot of confusing things in this, you know, to be able to do certain things. So. Yeah, and I didn't ever answer your question as far as how many players. Like the other guys, I like around 6 or 7. Just 6 or 7, mainly so that if somebody misses, there's always somebody that can't make it because of real life.
Yeah.
So it's generally 4 to 6 players is what I generally play with every Saturday. So
Mike, you play Friday and DM Saturday? Is that what you do?
generally, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's
I've
it.
got a 1A
There's always-
game that I've been playing in like 4 years now.
Is it Fantasy Grounds with both?
No,
Okay.
mine is Fantasy Grounds. I can't get the guy.
Oh. I mean, I got you.
I offered to buy Fantasy Grounds for him at one time, and he wouldn't do it. So
Wow. Is he roll 20?
what are you gonna do?
Okay.
At the time, he was using map tools. Now he's using Roll20. And he says it's because it's free. I'm like, dude, I will
Yeah.
buy it for you if you use it. But
Excellent.
you know, what are you gonna do?
And there's always the option of, remember that one time win, you know, if you have enough people out, you can just do a side thing. Much easier in real life, obviously, tabletop, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And virtual, you gotta have, you know, 4 good players at least, you know, to really keep things going.
I am so blessed. You guys know that my friends, we've been doing this since '80 for the most. You know, the rookie of the group, Bill, came on in '92. That's hell. You know, that's the last person we added to our group was 1992. So, you know, 87, 83, and then 3 from 80 or earlier. So, you know, it's just, but it's not. That's not real world. You know, that's not where everyone's all over the country. People move away. You know, and this is the direction it needs to go to keep the game alive, and that's why. This is, you know, I just appreciate the talk about this tonight. So, what do you think, Mike? What else you got for us? Got some other tidbits?
So this is not specific to my role set, but
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I could bring it up tonight. Fantasy Grounds College is the place to go if you want to learn how to use Fantasy Grounds, and I'm gonna put a link in the chat. These guys do a lot for the community. They teach a lot of people how to play. They put together tutorials and all kinds of stuff for people to go through. They have classes where you get on Discord and they kind of walk you through. You can ask questions. It's almost like a class. So if you're nervous about doing it for a group of players and you just want to go in and see how it works, you can go there, and those guys are great. I love everything they do.
My pro tip is use battle maps on Reddit or Reddit battle maps and import those guys to Fantasy Grounds.
So, Mike, I'm wondering go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
I was just because I haven't really looked at well, so far, has there been any material put out for that for 2E? I mean.
Well, that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss. Well, I got a little tidbit here. All right, let's do this now. So hopefully we got some Greyhawk people on here. I'm going to pop up something I put together from Mike's discussion. Hopefully he doesn't get mad at me here. Here we go. I got a slideshow.
You guys all can agree with me. Virtually, maps are seriously important. I mean, you can't.
Yes.
And drawn shit. You've got to have good stuff. That's just the truth.
I actually just this weekend I picked up, what was it? Dungeon Painter Studio.
I've got that. That's not bad. I mean, you can actually take the old maps, load them up in there, and then paint over top of them. Pretty good.
No, I mean, like I said, using Reddit battle maps, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But for some of the things for what I'm doing on Sunday or Saturday, I'm trying to build my own. That's a really big map. So I don't know.
All right, Pythix has a question for you.
I'm getting ready to answer that. So
DPS is great. Don't try to do a big map with it. It's my only suggestion.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'll tell you what, getting off the subject, but for the Mad Mage, which I know you're getting ready to run, Duffy, I found a guy on Reddit that had made all these beautiful custom maps for Mad Mage. And you guys all know how big Outer Mountain is. It's a monster, right? The old one was. Mm-hmm. I literally had to chop that thing down into like 8 or 10 maps. Just to use it right now. And I've got them all set up with pins on them. So when you go to the edge, you click it and you open up a new map. Because it was just a monster, man. There's no
I've been meaning to get on the guild and see what was there. Yeah. So, because I did that for Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
I'll send you a link to that guy's stuff.
Yeah, so really nice. It was Venastus. His maps I used. So,
yeah. I don't think Zackus is going to do any of those. There's no point in it because they recolored those. Not bad, don't get me wrong, but I like little details, like fire and.
So Pathix, the for hosting games, it's really, really simple. With the Ultimate license, all you need to do is just hand people the alias. Like you don't have to for some people they just freak out when you try to do something via IP. So an alias is 4 random words. So I don't remember what ours is currently, but for a while it was you can generate it randomly. But for a while mine was firm, user, cruel luck, and
well, I think the main thing that people run into is the port forwarding. That's the main issue. So, and with Unity, you won't have to worry about it anymore. So,
and you know what else? I think they're going to have lobbies too, Jimmy. I'm pretty sure they have lobbies. Mm-hmm. They join a lobby so they don't roll in on you when you're trying to get your stuff set up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So everyone knows that I'm the Greyhawk guy, and Celestian, Mike. I think you started watching mine because I'm old school and I'm Greyhawk, right? So we're all the Greyhawk Grodners. So explain to us the significance of this Greyhawk revival in old school. I mean, and 5e. Obviously, Salt Marsh is big for the 5 years that came out, and I know it's already in Fantasy Grounds, which is great. But
I picked it before it freaking was announced.
Yes, you did. The old school great. Hey, now you can do the 5e version, which is great, man.
No, I'm not messing with that.
Oh no,
I'm done with fucking book campaigns, man.
Well, yeah. Brian's like, why should I choose Greyhawk over Forgotten Realms? Like, are you serious? You're asking me that question?
We're not having this conversation.
I know we already had this one 7 times on the show. So, Mike, how's this make you? The significance of this Greyhawk for you that you're doing this?
And it wasn't over. And you keep on always saying it wrong. You're putting words in my mouth.
All right. Okay. See, this is how friends go at each other all the time like this.
Any other fantasy setting?
Yeah, I got it.
So
and I appreciate you It's Troller Games is on. Is that you? Is that
No,
no? Okay,
Oh, that's the man.
that's the man. Okay, well I'm going to say hello and welcome to him.
welcome, Troller Games.
So, Mike, tell us a little bit about the Greyhawk revival possibility with this, and how what your plan is.
Well, I can't speak to what is going to be able to come out as far as settings with Greyhawk. I can speak to adventures. Most of the ones that I'm going to be working on are going to be specific to the first edition stuff. And if any of you guys played back in the old days, when we played even in 2E or 1E, you played basic adventures. So my list of things that we gave to WotC as proposal of things to do included Keep of the Borderlands, Temple of Elemental Evil, Cult of the Reptile God, everything you can think of that was set in Greyhawk back in the day. I pretty much put on that list because those are things I want.
Temple
and
guys,
the one
Temple.
He's got listed there, I have it 90% done. I just finished up doing like the level 4. There's some encounters I had to set up for the alert, if it's alert and alert. But other than that, everything else it was done. So I just need to do QA passes for myself, and then make submission probably in the next 2 weeks.
That is as big as it gets for us in old school D&D. That is the campaign module that everyone's entire campaign gets based around. That area, what happens in this determines what happens in the rest of your campaign. At least it did for me. We played it in 86, 87, and that's what happened off of it. It's that fantastic of a module series, starting right with Hamlet. Absolutely.
That remembers the Moat House, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I know someone who's just it's a fantastic game. Now, this one afterwards, Mike told me about. This is one of my favorites of all time. Mike, Lost Caverns of Shokan.
So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Next one, Mike.
That's another one. I don't know how the order is going to land with these, but that's also another one that I've got the bulk of it done. I need to go through and do some QAs on them and get a decent map. But the problem with most of these is I spend a lot of times trying to make the maps decent. Chuck was saying, you need a decent map. Problem is these really don't have them unless I make them, and I really don't have the time to do that. And
let the community get after it. There's plenty out there.
Yeah. And I would for most of these, like this one particularly, there is on the DMs Guild or Drive Through. There's a guy that's done a lot of realistic maps for these. The only difference is they won't have the pins already pre-configured and stuff like that. But if you want to use a decent map, that will be. Otherwise, it's going to be the blue or the black, grid sort of, which I'm okay with.
It's the nostalgia of it.
Wait, now the next is the creme de la creme.
Oh God, here it comes.
Oh,
yeah. The entire city of Greyhawk.
I never knew there was a city right there. This is the best box set reference ever Duff ever made, in my opinion. It's brilliant. It's so well done.
What is Greyhawk?
Oh, man, that's so wrong. That is just like sticking right up, man.
The screen where I'm at just goes black.
So
lucky for you, can you just go to the Obsidian portal of my site there?
Yeah. So when Mike said that he was going to try and recreate this for it, I was like, really?
That's a tall order.
Yeah, it's a big product. It's also it's not on the queue for this year because I've got another huge outside of Temple of Elemental Evil. There's another giant module that I'm working on after this one that is going to probably take the rest of the year. So that one, the City of Greyhawk, is probably going to be next year. I'm hoping by the time this comes around, where we can do also the settings. Right now, there's kind of some discussion on how they're going to allow settings. Right now, we can only do Forgotten Realms stuff, and me personally, I don't have any interest in converting those to Fantasy Grounds for the 8 rule set. There may be somebody else that's doing it, but not me. I would love to do Greyhawk, the setting, be it the 85 box set or whatever box set it was, or From the Ashes. From the Ashes would probably be better, just from
Yeah.
the specialty priests and other things.
Yep.
And it's much bigger. I don't know how well that would fly with some of the 1E guys, like your
It would be okay.
Rocketeer. He probably would not like it.
I would love it. I would love it. But you really can't do one without the other because it says see this box set anyway. That's the thing. A lot of it from the Ashes refers to this set. So that would be kind of difficult as it would be. But then tie that in with what else you talked about.
Oh, yeah. That I want to have Greyhawk runs and the City of Greyhawk done pretty much in the same window of space, which means that's going to be probably 4, 5, maybe 6 months worth of work. Because if any of you have looked at either one of those products, they're massive.
Yeah.
City of Greyhawk is huge,
Right.
and then Greyhawk Ruin is massive. And the maps for Greyhawk Ruins is horrible.
Yeah.
There's no grids. They're all tilted. They're all just, it's complete mess. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to get those together. So, because I always wanted to be able to have both of those products together in the, so that I could run my group. Because if you run Greyhawk Runs, and me and Lord Gossenbeer talked about this, the Greyhawk Runs doesn't really have a plot.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Your plot is to go through and have, kick down doors and kill bad guys, which for me is not a bad thing. We enjoy doing that. But if you have the city next to it, it kind of gives you more of some hooks to work it in and do things there. And, there's some connectivity between the two places. So I want to, it'll be sometime next year. But that's the two biggies for next year.
Can you tell us what's the one that's almost out, or is that a secret? You said there was another one. I know you got N1 out now, and you're in Temple TEE is another one, but you said there was another one that you may be doing.
The adventures that I'm working on personally, this one is, Temple of Limited Evil is the one that's going to be submitted in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, all right, that's the one. Okay.
There are some there are some content devs that are working on some other things. Like I want to, and I'm going to say this. I don't know if he's submitted yet. He's close to it. He's talking about it. T1. No, not T1. S1. Tomb of Horrors.
Wow.
S1 is Tomb. So yeah. So that's. Yeah, that's pretty hard to do. So, but he's, my understanding is he's almost ready to submit it. There's another guy that's working on some Forgotten Realms adventure, and I don't want to speak to that. I'll let him do that. But I've done some reviews of it, looked at it for him, and give him some feedback, and it's practically done. So
good.
There will be a lot more coming out too. So
what do you all gents think about that? I mean, that is old school revival, man. That is OSR, right? That's a revival in a VTT, which is like that. I was like, wow, that's exciting. Because how many people? Go ahead, Chuck.
So the irony of this is when I think I told you when I started doing Fantasy Grounds, actually doing it, I was doing CNC rule set, right?
Right.
The first campaign I ran was I used Greyhawk, and we did the Moat House and part of the temple that I did myself, but I gave up because it was just too much for me to do. I wasn't gonna do that. But that's what I actually started them with. Is we did the Moat House and we did the first part of that, and that was kind of odd considering that now I'm doing Forgotten Realms 5e. But anyway, you just it's stuff you can't put a value on it, man. That temple stuff is just good.
It is, yeah. It's that and Showcanth. Showcanth is such a it's an old module. It's ancient, and it has one of the most iconic, coolest, best pictures ever, with David's Wondrous Lanthorns on top and Drellsness sitting on that slab, and oh my God, when you think about it, that's he is his half sister, right? All that stuff comes in. You don't even think about that when that module's being played. It's a gorgeous. Whoever did that picture, it's beautiful. It's a mega adventure, and it has an outdoor setting area. It's great, and then Farrisden ties into that. So that's exciting. So all right, here, Devil Dog asks, is there any Ravenloft plans in the future there, Mike? What do you think? You do have a plan.
I do, and this is mainly because I want it. And Halloween is coming up.
Yes.
So I'm going to try to get I6 in
the original
and submitted
Ravenloft. I forgot that one.
and out before Halloween.
That is Great.
Cool.
The only problem with that one is there again, maps. It's isometric maps, which you
Yeah, they're at an
cannot
angle.
use.
Yeah.
Oh,
You cannot
FGC
use.
You can. According to Doug,
Well,
you'll be able to.
yeah, but FG,
See how that works.
mine is going to be out before FG is out, so it needs to be anyways. But so I've already started doing the flat versions in Campaign Cartographer. I've been using it since the 90s, so I'm familiar with it. It's just,
Takes time.
I6 really I want to do it for that because I like it. Otherwise, if it was any other thing, I probably wouldn't do it because it's just, it basically doubles or triples my workload to do the maps because I don't do anything half-ass.
Good seeing you, Trollord.
So, a lot of the ones we discussed, here's my wall of fame as you go into my basement. And if you notice, you have Ravenloft's on here, Tomb of Horrors is on here, Shokanth is on here, Temple of Elemental Evil, Keep on the Borderlands. I mean, all the ones you mentioned are up on this wall of fame, and that is just like
Baltron's Beacon on there?
Absolutely, Baltron's Beacon is up there. Yes, it is. See it? Second row. Second row, Baltron's Beacon.
My real life group. We're actually I combined it with Tomb of the Lizard King.
A beautiful, smart way to go. And Tomb of the Lizard King's up there too. So yeah, let me blow it up a little bit here for you.
I see B2. Do you have B4?
All right. So, no, I don't have B4. Unfortunately, I don't. These are the 24 modules that we remember that had an effect on our campaign one way or another. Now, Tomoe-Con's up there because it's the first published module I ever did. I did it before Keeping the Borderlands. I think it was 79 when it came, 78, 79. So it goes Hamlet, Keeping the Borderlands, Bonehill, Leonard Lukavka. Hey, I got to mention Leonard once every show. Okay, got him in. Tomb of Horrors, Temple, Shokanth, second row. Ravager of Time, sick adventure. Ravenloft 2 is even nastier than Ravenloft in a way. It is. Egg of the Phoenix, Return of the Eight, Baltron's Beacon, third row. Shokanth, Tharisden. That's U3. Okay, that's the final enemy. Q1, right? Queen of Diminuted Pips. And then you got Lizard King, and then you have 3 off-game licensed ones. That is called it's an Underworld publishing one, and it's a Necromancer ending the world. It's a good one. Last row, Giants, D3. Love D3. U1, and then we got Ghost Tower of Inverness, Dark Tower, the best Judges Guild miniature ever.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Dark Tower, and then Fortress Elendar, which is another off-game license one that my friend Tim got me on, and it's wonderful. So there's our 24 game modules that we have up. So Mike's. Oh, thanks, Geek. Thank you very much. So Geek. So Mike's got to put all these in. I was just kidding.
You need desert in there nowhere.
No, I'm not a Desert of Desolation guy, man. I'm not.
Come on.
I'm not. I'm not Pharaoh, and they weren't. But so some of them did make the cut. So that's how and they're all real modules up, guys. They're not pictures. They're all real modules.
That's fantastic, man.
My friend gave me an idea. Nice. He put up his album covers. He's got all his Rush. He's got the Who and his Zepp and all. And I was like, oh my god, I can do it with modules, So that as you come into my gaming basement, if everyone's seen it on the broadcast, that enters as you come in. You see that. So awesome. Yes. So Geek Dice, thank you for that, man. I really appreciate that sub. So guys, while we have Mike, what do we have? We gotta have some more questions for him. Duff's shaking his head now.
Bravo.
No? Okay.
No. Get using it. Let's see it on the channel. Yeah. Come on, Jay.
Well, you will see it again Saturday night. Brian's going to be using it. He's going to be using it in a 5e game. Yep.
That I will.
All right.
5e, you just don't like to admit it.
So, Mike, what are tidbits you want to bring up with us? Any tricks of the trade? Anything else? Anything you know about Fantasy Grounds Unity you could share with us?
I can't speak to FGU, but I can give you a bunch of useful links that I've kind of put, and I'm going to spam your channel with all of them.
That's okay. No, absolutely. Have at it. Good.
And you may want to spread those out or something, but I'll put a link to the forums where the AD&D rule set can be discussed. There's a Fantasy Grounds Discord, which if you go to the channel, the AD&D channel, I'm pretty much idle in there. I work from home, so I can idle there all the time. If you have a question, you want to ask about something, what's coming out, or you're having a problem with something. And all the devs that are working on the content for it, I'm pretty helpful. I'm available for them if they have any problems with the rule set or if they're just trying to get a map to align, because I know those heartaches. So I'll help them with that. Put links to the FG store with the AD&D content and the FGC link again, because I love those guys.
And anybody out there that's listening and might want to make maps, no grids.
No grids. Yes, please.
Plug.
Just you got to
Please explain that. Explain that. Explain that again. Explain that for everyone. Why?
A lot of people, and if typically most maps that you get online, or not most, but a lot more, are made for printing. So they have a nice, convenient grid on it, right?
Right.
But if you have a gridded map in VTT FG, you have to fit your own grid to snap everything on there on top of it. And pretty much it's a pain in the ass. And usually they don't think to make it actually a 50 by 50 or 5.
Yeah, it depends on the size of the image.
I know
so DPIs.
Right now, I know in 2E that Mike has got the option to set it for 5 foot and 10 foot, which that makes him awesome, by the way. But yeah, that's a thing you can do in the 2E rule set you can't do in all the rest of them. Really nice.
There actually is. I wrote that as an extension as well, so you can put it in anything. At least core RPG based.
Okay.
Lord Grendelwolf has a good question, Mike. He said, "Can you enter your own data rather than use the add-ons?" And the answer is yes, right?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely. Good
That's the way originally it was written as a community rule set, so you had no choice.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a map. I'm going to send you a map in Discord.
And what's Sprocket asking there, Jay? It's coming to Steam. Is that FG or the rule sets?
FGU, I think he's talking about.
Well, yeah, most definitely will be.
It'll be on Steam.
Yeah.
Here, I'm sure. I mean, everything else.
He's UK based. Maybe it's an issue that he can get. It's easier for him to get it through that. So absolutely. Man, this is some exciting stuff. I'm so glad that we all are getting together on this. So, Mike,
I wanted to the thing that we're talking about, the maps. I sent you a thing in Discord.
Okay.
And if you can show that map, I'll
I got. I have Discord on my laptop up. I don't have it on. Wait, I got to turn Discord on here. One sec. So
the way I handle that no grid stuff on my maps is I don't put a grid, but you got to put something for people to be able to measure, or align, put their grids on. So somewhere on your map, put a little square box. And generally it's around where your compass roses are that tell the scale of the map or something. Just stick it somewhere so that we can go click and set our grids. And on my maps, and he'll show the one I'm talking about, but it's my Moat House map.
But I do too. You have to have something because.
All right, let me save it here.
Even with games that I was going to say, especially even with games like old school games like CNC and 2E and whatever you're doing, you may not have that tactical stuff that 5E has, but you still, when you're doing virtual, you've got to have good visual reference. You got to have it.
Part of it. No.
There we go. It's up. Nice. This is the Moat House from Hamlet.
Yeah, that's
very nice.
But down the bottom right, you can see there's a scale, and then there's that little square black box. That's where you would align your. I think that map is probably a 50 pixel grid, or actually it's 100 pixels. So if you set your grid in Roll20 or whatever to scale it to that little square down there, it'll line up everywhere.
That's perfect.
Do that everywhere on all your maps.
and Jay, you guys know this, but typically in Fantasy Grounds, you have these controls. I'm assuming it's the same for 2Es, the rest of them. But once you get the grid on there, you have a way to adjust it too. You can move it up and down, left and right. Why you can
image
do
control
on the fly too, right? Sometimes I'll do that. If I have a nagging map that's they're getting ready to go into and it's not laid down right, I'll just go in there and move it over or whatever. Simple.
Beautiful. All right, I apologize for being rude. I did not ask the audience. So anyone out in the audience have any other questions of Mike or Duff or Brian or Chuck or even myself before we start doing some announcements for everyone and what everyone has in store? So let us know if you have any other FG questions. But I think Mike's been very thorough with a lot of links and a lot of assistance.
Bless you, Mike.
I'm so happy that you just agreed to come on here, and it's You think about like when we started playing and all the jokes back, like, oh, will there ever be a live action D&D movie? And remember all the what was it called, the Phil Foglio stuff in the Dragon magazine where they always used to bust stones on all that stuff, and it's like, man, we're here. We're actually here now, and it's really as the Chinese say, may you live in interesting times, and I'm like, this is extremely interesting times. Especially for us with gaming. I'm having a blast. I've had fun, a lot of fun every week. My guys show, but we're trying to change up the content, and this is a great way to do it. So let me see. We got any other last questions here before we? All right. So what's everyone got planned going on their channels in real life? Duff, why don't you start us up here? Share everything that's going on. Please promote yourself.
Well, Prater's Rejects on Twitch. Please hop over. Monday nights, every other Monday, starting like with this Monday, we'll be doing Savage Worlds of Deadlands. And Tuesday nights is every Tuesday we'll be moving in, like I said, from Waterdeep Dragon Heist. They're moving into Mad Mage Undermountain. This is all, and that's 5e. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I need to, so the shout out will be bringing another game to the channel Thursday or Friday. Saturday, I'm trying to, gauge it in there it's a brand new one. So I got to plan it. And so I need players. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Will be a new startup game to run. And then I'm also involved. Chuck knows too with his stuff. He's been involved too. The Wizards of the Couch, Wizco Games is our group. Brian Berg, Matt Everhart, and Danny Grimes. Right now the channel is it's Twitch TV Wizards of the Couch. We have an interview session every other Monday, and we just had our first session 0 about session 0 this last Monday. Not this Monday, but next Monday is when we'll stream again. We've got Jen Page coming on. Beautiful. To talk about the current and future women in gaming, all that kind of fun stuff. We have got just negotiations going on with Alex Kamer. We've got Skeeter Green, Anna Myers is going to be coming on. So we just got to line these up and date them. And then I'll be bringing a couple of shows over to that channel also. So yeah, my streaming went from a couple games a week to something every night. But I've got to.
Attaboy.
Praetors has been a little slow. I know. I had 5 games going on. It kills you. And so, but I'm now back to I need at least 2 or 3 games on the channel. Plus, I'm doing the video games. I'm going to run. Chuck does it a good bit. I haven't done it much yet, but I'm doing it now. And like I said, I'm running Eye of the Beholder Saturday nights right now and playing that. I'm going to go through those games and then move over to Baldur's Gate. But just bringing some of those when I wasn't playing Dungeons and Dragons in real life, that's how I got my fix. I'm a computer guy. And I've been running my own computer company for quite many years now. And so you get me in front of those and sitting in front of a computer and I'll spend all day doing it. So that's what I do.
Let me back him up. I saw the Session 0 Wizards of the Couch. It was very, very informative, very well done. And all 4 of you have you guys all meshed together real well. And it was great. It's going to be a go-to talk show on Monday nights. It is. It's that good.
Yep.
So
thank you. 4 alphas trying to put it together.
Yeah. So. Well, absolutely. That's how it works, though, man. Definitely. So Chuck, what do you got going on, man?
Well, with my new position with them, I've just been working my ass off because I'm having to build this massive Discord and Twitch and all this stuff. And these guys, they make games. They don't care about technology. So my life's completely changed. I've had to actually readjust a lot of my game schedules. I used to do a lot of day games too, So currently I'm just basically maintaining the streams I've got because I've got to open up. We're going to be doing a Thursday night game where we're going to have different people in our affiliate program run games on there. And then I'm going to run a game separately one night. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I got to figure it out because currently I run streams Monday night, Tuesday night, Friday night, Saturday morning, and Sunday, and I've got to mix all that around. It's kind of crazy. It's crazy because it's easy to do, but the next thing you know, you don't get no sleep or nothing.
Yeah,
and then
just
I've got my
prep
real life
work.
that I run on
What's
Saturday.
prep work?
Yeah.
Prep. What
Prepping
is
for games, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
prep
the
is
amount-
walking over to this shelf and just grabbing something. I am playing with an ideal. I've got my real life game. These guys I grew up with playing with when I was 9, 10 years old. We finally, I've always tried to have that dream game with your buddies you grow up with, and we finally about a year and a half ago started playing. And then they got on the idea of, hey, why don't we stream this? But I don't know if I really want them, because we sit around and we drink a lot of whiskey and just bullshit and stuff. But I don't know if I want them live talking about me, because it's going to be very bad.
Chuck, you see my broadcasts.
I know.
I
dude.
get my balls busted constantly by my guys, right?
Guys won't waste 1 second busting my balls.
And there's all bad habits going on, and it's just you know what the call words you can't say are. If you got them to stop from, there's certain things you can't talk about or discuss. Don't talk, no politics, no religion, none of that stuff, and you're fine.
Right.
And none of the crazy stuff.
It would be entertaining to watch anyway.
I think it would be, that's where we've gotten our success from. This is that. So I think it would be great. I think just seeing you guys just BSing and playing, and enjoying yourselves. People want to see people having fun, and I think that would be great. I would highly recommend you doing it. That's just my opinion.
All right, I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah.
We've played around with it. They would love to, and they're not even the type to be. They don't even watch Twitch. You know what I mean? But the idea of being on live with me, yeah.
And there's a learning curve. I guarantee they act differently the first couple times you do it, because I had that issue.
Sure.
There's a learning curve going with it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus camera angles and all that, and it's just it's a different world. But it would
You
be
do
fun.
it well.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian,
Yeah, great.
what do you got going?
Brian, tomorrow he work on prep for Saturday night. He had to put up a garage door yesterday, so he can have all tomorrow to prep.
I told you he's tricking.
I think he's going to work on his herbalism stuff for his campaign.
That's good.
My ex-wife in his house is what I wanted to know. Oh wait, that's a mini. My bad. It was up close.
Oh yeah. See,
Boo.
Brian got a 3D printer recently, and he's going to town with it. So,
No, this is
One's from the storm.
Huge, actually. Wow, I like that.
yeah, it's a hill giant.
Nice.
She's very pretty. Look at me.
so
Really just doing prep for you guys, and then I told my guys that I'd try to have my herb stuff done. So we're starting our 2-week cycle for Genesis. So I have 2 weeks to get caught back up. So I'm going to try to get my herb stuff done before all that. So
that's great.
Did you say before Genesis? You said.
So one of the guys at the table, we took a year off of D&D because we were really sick of the 5e modules, and we just wanted to palate cleanser. So we played Edge of the Empire, Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So there's a
Genesis for that.
So Genesis, that was based on, I don't know if that was first and then Genesis came off of it, or which way it was.
It came off, because I've got a friend that runs. He's been trying to get me to play. I haven't played it, but he does Fallout Genesis, which I thought was
cool.
So we're doing a multi-world mini. It's called Mini Worlds. So we are right now. It's us versus Nazi Germany. Nazi Earth.
to Earth. Wow.
Earth X from Supergirl.
Yeah, and so I play a German guy, and I do a really bad German accent the entire time, and people are just like, really? There's a lot of und that goes on there because that's my stereotypical German. But yeah, so we're going on our 2-week cycle with that. So I'm working on this big project for the herbalism stuff in my world, and I'm going to try to knock that out before the 2-week cycle gets back on.
Yeah, and please go to his Obsidian Portal site. He's done custom crafting on Masterwork. It's really impressive.
It's very impressive.
And the herbalism is even more impressive. And it's stuff I'm going to be pilfering. I've already said I'm pilfering some of the stuff back.
Stole that herbalism stuff, by the way.
There you go. Hey, just give him credit for it, and that's it, man. So
I have a list. Like, I don't have the herbs picked right now, but some examples that I have is like the rarity 5 herbs. They're gonna give back spell slots. So the divine spell slots, or arcane spell slots, or if you're a fighter, there's ones that will give you an extra attack. So not an extra action, but like if you had a 3 attack round, you'd have a 4 attack round, that kind of stuff there. But those are going to be like very, very rare ones. So then you still have to pass a check to even successfully make the potions and that kind of stuff there. The other ones are, because it's a 5e, there's a herb that you can smoke that has a 25% chance to give you inspiration.
Or get you high.
Oh, yeah.
Wild magic mushrooms. I know. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Got a guy on Saturday morning that literally looks for the damn things now. It's like,
Yeah, so Brian did his first one a month ago on my channel, and Anna, Anna plays in that group, and Anna loves them. And Will tried to actually said, "Yeah, he's available for my channel." Like, no, he's all mine. So,
Brian is not a D&D swinger.
So I would just love that, Brian. That is Wednesday night game, but it's in the game store. It'd be tough to set up. It'd be very difficult to do. But when we did our charity event on March 23rd, his group will participate in the next charity event we do, right? Correct, Mike?
They said if they have enough leeway, it sounds like at least, I don't know if all of them will.
Yeah.
But a few folks said that they would be down to assist.
We raised over $1,000 for St. Jude, and we're
saw that actually. You had it on the thing, I think.
Yeah, we have it on our ticker at the bottom, on our stuff at the bottom. It was a mega event. It was supposed to be 16 hours. One of the channels kind of, Will from Wicked Studios was one. Mark was my the Ohio group went, and then there was a gap of, we won't go into that, but it was great. We fought a miracle of the chaotic, and at the end of it, it was all about an orb of the dragon kind. We had participation out the wazoo from the audience. It was fantastic. So we'll do something else down the road. I know we got a lot going on with a lot of other projects that everyone else has, but we will do more fundraisers, absolutely. So Mike, what do you got going, man? I know, tell a little bit about your games. What's your campaign base? Obviously it's Greyhawk, but what you're DMing?
A lot of the stuff that's coming out is stuff that I've been doing. So N1 we started that before we started Temple of El Motivo. My group is, they just hit level 2 in the Temple. So they're not, I've been kind of doing a little faster pace than normal, just so I can get them through to kind of, they're my playtest group really.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'm giving them XP a little faster and some other things just to kind of push it through. But we play in Greyhawk mainly because we like it. We're familiar with it, but I don't really have a stream. I don't. I record our sessions through OBS and I post them on YouTube. But we're not Matt Mercer, so don't expect actors. we are beer and pretzels guys. We play like you do. So that's why I enjoy watching you.
Thank you.
Another guy I like to watch is Rob Toohey. I don't play 5e, but the guy makes me laugh. He plays like I do. In fact, Rob Toohey and Duffy are the two guys I started watching when I first started getting into Fantasy Grounds because I didn't know how to use it that well. So watching those guys go through all the stuff they did really, helped. And I still, you would be surprised. There's a lot of little esoteric things that I still, I'll be going through something and I'll see some code and I'm like, what does that do? And then I'll have to go figure it out. I mean, there's still things that just, I don't know yet, but I don't know, those are the, go ahead. Sorry.
Say it's like Dave's channel. I know you go in there a lot and watch him when he did. Now he's in Basic Land, but when he gets that done, I'd love to get my hands on that, man. That'd be a cool rule set to have. A buddy of ours, Dave Milton, he's building a basic rule set.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's using the Morecore actually. Last I spoke to him though, he was using Morecore. I'd offered to do an extension for the AD&D rule set so he could use it, but he said he wanted the players to have to know how to play, so he didn't want all the automation. So that's why I went with a more simple system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. It's good. They need to.
Definitely.
The only other thing I wanted to mention ask is, Duffy, are you going to North Texas RPG Con?
I'm going to swing through there. I'm actually doing a conversion for Skeeter's module
really?
into FG. And so we're going to, grab a bite to eat or drink, something like that, and catch up on stuff. But I didn't get a ticket, but I'm going to come in and harass for a little bit. So it's right down the street. So I'll give them some money. I just figured I can walk in there, and with all the chaos that's going on, So, but yes, I will come find everybody and say hi. So,
well, if you let me know when you're going to go, I may just drop in as well. I don't. I pretty much hit my thing with the North Texas RPG Con, like on the second or third con they had. I played in a game with Frank Mincer, and then another game with Tim Kask, and then another one with Alan Grohe. So all three of those are the guys I want to play. And now that I've done it, I mean, what else am I going to do?
Mike, I'll PM you, and then we can we'll schedule something and hook up. Awesome. Yeah, definitely meet face to face. Love to. Yeah,
and that's another.
I've actually met Skeeter Green too. Yeah. I was just gonna say I've met Skeeter Green too. I played in the game. My Alan Grohe game. Skeeter Green was in it. But, I got. In fact, I got a picture of his tattoo after the Tomb of Horrors tattoo on his left shoulder.
Yeah, I'm behind on his work, so I got to get up on that. So
he's that mods adventure I've got. It's
the Kickstarter one.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
and that's the great thing about all what we're doing. We're all interconnected here via Twitch and via talking to each other, and we found each other on all of this. And I've met people in the last year I would have never met if I wasn't doing this, and that's what's so fantastic about it. Have a whole community of channels that we show each other's content and discuss and rate each other, and that's just that's how you make friends, and that's just been it's been a blast the last year.
Well, I got to meet Chuck at GaryCon, so
if you guys go to definitely we're gonna be going to GaryCon probably forever from now on. So
well, here I already have the hotel reserved. My problem is that my company that I work for 23 years has a work awards at Captiva Island, Florida. Sorry for slumming it. And if it's the same, it's always that weekend that they moved it to. So now, So I gotta either
be there. So
I'm doing Gen Con this year, and I'm DMing.
I'll see you there.
Okay, Carlos Leising and I are doing a joint module that I'm writing, and the first part he's writing the second part. It's gonna be an 8-hour mega based in Greyhawk, right near where we're venturing in Bryan's, right in the whole marshes. And then I'm going to be DMing for Miniature Building Authority on Friday, and I'm going to be DMing for the Greyhawk channel and their hostel on Saturday. So I got a lot going on.
Come find you. I'm doing stuff with Lori, but it's Petia, her and the zombie group. Danny's got me working with them, so I'm looking forward to that.
Man,
a lot of good stuff going on.
CNC stuff. So.
Couple other minor announcements, and then I guess we can call it an evening here. This next Thursday coming up, we continue our Order of Ulick mega event, Defense of the Watchers Chowers. Scenarios 3 and 4, as everyone can see, there's carnage all over the board, but that's the way we like to do the old school stuff. These characters, some of these characters are 40 years old. I mean, my God, think about that. A character that's been around that long.
Older than I?
What's that?
Older than I?
Come on, you're 40 now.
No, dude, I'm 35.
You're that young now? I didn't know that. I thought you turned 40.
No,
oh man!
I've just been having the gray hair since I've been.
I don't dye my hair, guys. I don't dye my hair. I swear. 52. I don't dye my hair. All right. So next 3 Gabbin shows. Some big announcements. Next Sunday, we're going to talk about Dark Elves. Delving into the Dark Elf. Everyone's favorite topic. Should you allow them as PC? What's the difference between Forgotten Realms and Greyhawk, Dark Elves, the magic resistance thing, the innate spell deal? I mean, how do you balance them with the automatic dual wield? We're going to talk about all that next week. So we're going to delve into Dark Elves. The week after that, we're going to do a little fun thing. We're going to do published modules in magazines. So we're going to go through all of our favorite Dragon, Dungeon, White Dwarf modules, and that'll be number 49. So the Twofold Talisman, the Keys of Tyr and Dor. Remember all those old ones when you were a kid in the Dragon? We're going to try and come up with the 4 best. So my crew will do that, and that'll be in 2 weeks. And then 3 weeks, we're going to have a big 50th show celebration. We made it to 50 shows. It's going to be just Greyhawk in general. I'm trying to get all the admins, or as many as want to come on, from the Greyhawk Discord and from our future Greyhawk group, and just take general Greyhawk do lore talk stories to celebrate the 50th show. So that'll be the third week, and we'll, Greyhawk in general will be trying to get commitments from Icarus, from Alan Grow, from Greyhawk Mike, Anna. I'm trying to get them all. Brian Blumclaw, trying to get them all on the show and just BS about Greyhawk for 2 hours. So try to do that for 50, and then we'll keep on going with stuff. Brian's on next Saturday for our Saturday night special. And I got Anna Meyer on, the Naz, me, and Will from Return to the Bandit Kingdoms as the 4 players this time coming around. And we'll be doing a lot more of them. And Mike, I'd love for you to set a date so that we can do a 2E game. I know, Jimmy, you volunteered to do something down the road.
Yeah, I don't want to step on Brian's work, but if something comes up, you want to, a change of pace, I would love to do one. No
That's
problem.
excellent. That's excellent.
Same here.
All right, cool, man. I'm all about cross doing stuff, man, all the time. It's been fun. This is great. I just I thank you all 4 of you for coming on and giving us some wisdom and feedback. I hopefully we get to the point where this will be like, man, yeah, I can play this module, I can play that module, I can do 5E, 2E, doesn't matter. It's right available in Fantasy Grounds, and thank you, Mike, for making this happen. Because if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't be happening for 2E. It's that bluntly simple.
Absolutely.
It's that bluntly simple. So thank you so very much, and thank you so very much for giving me the honor of watching my channel. I really appreciate it. So, any final words before we call it a night? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I just want to say thank you because I think your enthusiasm for AD&D and Greyhawk has just really engaged the that community. They've kind of been put to the wayside until you've kind of made it a thing to be have fun playing, and so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, I really appreciate that. All right, guys. Well, thanks. Look at that. 6 minutes over. That was it. Beautiful. I know we all have real lives to go to and all. So if anyone wants to talk and BS a little bit on, I'm keeping Zoom up between the 4 of us. So, guys, thank you all for watching tonight. Another large viewing audience. Really appreciate it, guys. It's great. Just
Chuck and I are jealous.
Yeah, you get trust me though. The Twitch partner thing. Shot down, crash and burn first time, but I won't discuss that.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it.
We'll keep on doing it. Thank you, Frank, for coming on. Thanks all the new subs, all the new followers, all the people who watched tonight. Without you, we wouldn't be doing this, obviously. And thanks for the community growth for everyone. Please watch all channels. I have 22. I follow only ones I highly recommend. Prater's Rejects is on. Baboonski's on. I put Wizards of the Couch up there. If the other gentleman had them, I put them up too. But please look. That's where you can follow. Who I highly recommend is who I follow, and it's only 22. So thank you all, guys. We'll see you soon. We'll go to our first sponsor, Miniature Building Authority.
Thanks for watching, folks.
Thank you all, and we'll see you. I'll see you. No Mark this Monday. It's every other Monday. Mark's show actually goes right before your Wizards of the Couch every week, which is good. So Mark's Ohio group and my channels the Monday from 5:30 to 9 p.m. EDT, and you start at 9 CDT, correct?
That's correct.
So there's an hour break. Yeah, so it works pretty well on that. They're all on the same time.
You should really move it up an hour so he can raid India. Just saying.
No. Mark's people are coming right from work too, so I know what you're saying. I would love to.
No, I would say you guys had the longer time slot.
Oh, see, Brian, keep on drinking, dude.
Yes, because the whole half a beer I drink of a 5%er is going to do a whole lot. No, when I crack open the 10% after this, that's a different story.
Hey, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon. And just remember, it doesn't matter what edition you play. As long as you're playing D&D, that's all that matters. 2E, 5E, 3.5, even 4.
Bring the love.
Bring the love, play the game, and join the community, and become active, and meet people, and that's what it's all about. We'll see you soon. And now we can still talk because that's our shtick, guys. So that was fantastic. Thank you so very much.
Thoroughly enjoyed that, gentlemen. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
A half a beer did something to me.
Because you're probably drinking before too, man.
No, this is like my first beer of the night.
Yeah.
I'm just in a goofy mood.
Yeah, Mike, thanks a lot, man. That was
Yep.
awesome.
Impressive
Thanks
that
for
you
having
put
me.
that together. I didn't know it was that big of a commitment. So hats off. Hats off, my friend. Yeah, that's not something I can put myself through. So
It's obsessive compulsive.
it's all right. Programming, baby. Well done. You're gonna have a huge boom with that. So if you had a life, you don't anymore. So yeah,
Yeah, you're done, Mike.
it's game over.
Locked in, baby. Locked in.
Jay, don't worry.
I don't know about that.
It's only 5 hours drive.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, guys, I think I've told everyone, but I was hoping that the reason I wanted to get to that partner status was I wanted to create a team. I know you're already on the team by RuneScape, but I wanted to create like a coalition of RPG streamers and crafters.
Right.
That was the whole point. Still haven't gotten to it, but hopefully we'll get there, and we're going to call it like D&D RPG / crafter coalition or something very basic. Add all of us size guys together and put it into a team. That's my goal. So that's the only reason why. Let me shut this down. All right, guys. Everyone have a good night. Wait a minute.